Hello everybody and welcome into my latest live video. Today is Friday. It's Friday, Mitch.
Yeah, the 14th, right?
The 14th of January. Hey, if this was the 14th of February, there'd be Valentine's cards being exchanged.
It'd be VD Day. Okay.
I thought it was SAD Day, Singles Awareness Day. Sad. So yeah, it's Friday. It's the 14th of January, 2022. We got to say that because this video, somebody's going to be watching it in 2027, and then they'll leave a comment. I'm watching this in 2027. How did you know?
Right.
So I already see that's how far ahead I think. My name is Kerry Holzman. This is
Mitch Morrison. And guess what shirt I'm wearing, Chad? Okay.
It's a Toto shirt.
As if you didn't know. Wrong. Okay.
That's it. You're not welcome at Toto concerts anymore.
All right.
You've betrayed them.
Yeah.
Who are you wearing today?
ELO.
Oh, well they're better than Toto.
Yeah.
See, if Mitch walks the red carpet, they say, "Who are you wearing today?" Prada? Toto.
Toto.
Ralph Lauren? ELO.
Yeah.
So, let's see, what do we have going on in the chat room here? A lot of people are anxious for today's show. We've got a little something different planned for today. And a shout out and thank you to, well, Peter Laycock, who contributed 100 pounds and had to go to work. So he says he's going to catch the replay later. Thank you, Peter. Thank you so much. His generosity is incomparable. Tony Wallow with $4.99 says, "Hi guys." Hey Tony, good to see you, my friend. Speaking of generous contributors. Luke Greenia says, "Hey, I just sent you $25 via PayPal, my friend." And hello, Mitch. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate you very much. Hello to Wesley and Bill Brulette, AV3, and of course Curtis Stollery and Eddie Casanova, and Jens Carlson, Gaming 44, and El Perez, Craig Lilly, Andy Kane, Matt Power. Hey guys, welcome in everybody. There's Mike Visions contributing £5. Says, "Hello Kerry and Mitch, I'm looking forward to seeing this." XRod666 contributes $10 and says, "Howdy, hope all is good." And Michael Dane contributes $5.
The man.
Says, "I'm working on my 100th computer for a family in need." Whew. That is insane.
Amazing.
How many years has it taken you to give away 100 computers? It's been about 3 years. He's on fire. Chevy with a $1 contribution. Thank you, Chevy. And I think there was somebody I missed just before all that. Maybe not. I guess I got them all. I think I got them all. Pina Rainier says hello, and Proud Patriot says hello. Randall Hallman. Shout out to my friend Ron Hillier, who is in the hospital having surgery today, which hopefully is going to be a routine surgery and get some business taken care of. So we're thinking about you, Ron, and if you're healing up there, hopefully you're watching for some distraction. Not a whole lot to do in a hospital room. And Gaming 44 contributes $19.99. Gaming 44, I guess, had sent us, I thought he was going to send us a couple of t-shirts and asked if we would wear them. And I got one hoodie, and I don't wear hoodies. I don't know why he sent a hoodie. But it's pretty nice, and I don't know why I didn't get them both, but so far I've got one, and I don't know if this is for me or for you. What size is it?
Kids, it's for you. All right.
I got no problem with that.
Okay. I need a large.
This is a large.
Ribs. Okay.
Should hold that up. We'll see what that looks like. There, let me change our camera feed here so we can see it. Oh, you got the hood covering it.
Just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
All right. Yeah, it's a slick looking hoodie.
Yeah.
I think that one's you. I don't wear a large. I don't wear a hoodie. I don't wear long sleeves either. But
when I go to my brother's in Colorado, very handy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Yeah, makes me look tough.
Maybe I can turn the heat off in here and I can force you to wear it. Thank you, Gaming 44. Appreciate your generosity. And let's see.
Michael Dane said it took him 2.5 years.
2.5 years. I was close. I said 3.
Yep, 2.5 years.
Dr. Bill with a $5 contribution. Thank you, Dr. Bill. And Verujan Kalustian with a $1 contribution. Thank you, Veruin. I don't know how to say his name. What do you think that is? Is it a Veruin? Varuan?
Yeah, I don't know if the J is like
it
an
H?
H or...
Varujan? VK. Thank you, VK. I could say that. Jens Carlson saying hello there, and John Williams. Michael Dane says the computer is an i5 with 8 gigs of memory, 500 gig hard drive with Windows 10. Those are good, solid machines and very inexpensive. So he's not giving away junk. So let me tell you what we're doing today, Mitchell.
Okay.
The folks over at DeepCool reached out to me and said, would you like to try any of our stuff? Now, I first met up with DeepCool at CES back around 2016, and they had some pretty neat, I was going to say cool, cases. They had like one where the liquid cooler was built into the case, and it had like this DNA twist on the front of the liquid going through.
Okay.
And I was really wanting to get my hands on one, but the reviews were like, these things are leaking, and they're made in China like everything else, and the quality, supposedly, according to the reviews, people were having leaking issues and stuff like that. But it really looked really neat. And then they were demonstrating a liquid-cooled power supply, which I thought was the dumbest thing I'd ever seen, because first of all, why? And second of all, the danger if there is a leak hitting high voltage. But it was really cool to see it, right? It was like, whoa, check that out.
Would have been a shocking experience.
It could have been. Like, why would you do that? I don't know. I'm noticing a little bit of maybe some damage to this case, but
Oh yeah, a little bow compared to this side, but not bad.
But they sent me 2 cases. They sent me this cooler. Read the review. There's only one review on Amazon for this cooler, and the reviewer said that they felt it should sell for less money. I don't know. We'll come to our own conclusion. It's only one review. And then there's a 1,000-watt power supply here that's modular.
Okay.
Now, I can't find where any of this is for sale here in the United States. So what I've done is I think one of the cases, I'm going to bring up the other case in a second, and then you guys can tell us which case you want us to build in today. But I could not find the power supply available for sale in the U.S. I couldn't find one of the cases available in the U.S. And I think I found the cooler on Amazon and the other case at Newegg. So I've just put a link to the DeepCool store at Amazon, and then for the products I can't find, just to DeepCool's official website, so that if you want to buy one, there's nothing more frustrating than showing off anything,
right,
and then not being able to buy it. So perhaps DeepCool will reach out after this and provide me with some links I can include in the video notes below.
Okay.
And I'll share that with everybody when we have the information, because we do this live, and I didn't know I was going to be doing this until 2 days ago. So, or rather, I didn't know I was going to be doing it today. Now, what else are we going to put in there? So those are the parts DeepCool has provided, and I'm going to show you the other case in a moment. What we're going to build is we're going to take, you remember we had Madi's older system here, the 5900, the 9900 KS. And we don't like this motherboard, and the board may even be broken. I'm not convinced Madi's graphics card is bad yet. So what I thought was, we'll pull the 9900 KS because it's a highly desirable CPU. And trying to find a 9th gen motherboard right now is pretty difficult, at least a Z series. But in my inventory, I still have a Z390 Gaming X, which I think will pair perfectly with the 9900K. And the 9900K is a hot processor, which would be a great way to test the cooler. Now for storage, we've got the 2 terabyte Samsung 970 EVO. Those are on sale at Amazon right now for $220, $219.
Wow.
And then for RAM, we'll go all showy with the G-Skill Royal Z, the mirrored RAM with the muted RGB.
32 gig?
Yeah, 2 sticks of 16.
Okay.
It's a very expensive RAM, well overpriced, but it looks pretty. And in that way, we'll sort of have a black and white theme happening, because the other case that DeepCool sent was also white and black like this. The power supply is black as well. So I'm going to take this down. We're not having Mitch lift anything heavy. So we're going to take this down. Now, I want you to take a quick, good look at this.
3 fans in the front.
And RGB. I believe that's all RGB up here.
Okay.
This comes off. Oh, that's metal. Yeah, whenever you see the clear fans like that, that's an indication they're going to be RGB.
Okay.
But that's well put together. And I guess this would go in first, and then, oh, it's magnetic.
Okay.
Just grabs it. And we got a magnetic screen on top.
Show them the ports. I can lift this much, yeah.
Yeah, up on top, we've got USB Type-C. We've got something that says, oh, LED. So that's an alter the LED colors if you don't have RGB built on the board, I guess. 2 USB 3s, a single 3.5 millimeter combined microphone headphone jack. That's for like a headset. And then power button. There's your magnetic screen. They've got it taped for shipping. We'll remove the tape later. And then just a solid panel on this side. We'll bring it around this way. And then real glass right there on this side. And it's pretty wide, so we should have good cable management in the back. You can see how much wider this is than some of the other cases I've worked on lately. Mm-hmm. And the reason you want that is for cable management. Just need an extra, maybe ½ inch for getting behind that motherboard tray. And then of course you've got the shroud, the power supply shroud that'll cover all your cables there. So cable management wise, this looks like a nice clean build and all white. Now the other case they sent is also all white, and it's very, very similar. And you guys tell me which one you want me to build in today. We'll take a vote. Now, it's essentially the same case with a different front. So once again, the front just comes right off. This is no RGB. As you can see, there's a black fan, which indicates no RGB here.
And only 1 fan, yeah.
There's a fan in the back and a fan in the front, so that's 2 fans, but yeah, just one up front.
Is that magnetic?
This is metal, and you just kind of set these little tabs. See these little tabs right here? Boy, it's really reflecting the light. There's the tabs.
Okay.
Those little tabs go into these slots very easily. There's no resistance. It's just like butter. You just push this up, and the magnets grab it and hold it. If you tilt this one down, it's exactly the same on top, except this is not an LED button. This is a reset button. So this is a much more modest case. You know, it's not boastful of its RGB. And if we put it back on its feet, I think that's the only difference. I think we're dealing with the exact same case. And for manufacturing, it makes sense. You don't want to have to retool a factory for every case. So just by changing the front, the fans, and the labeling of the button, you basically have a whole nother model of case.
I know what my vote is.
No RGB?
No, I mean,
it's
January's an RGB month, so I figured.
January's an RGB month?
So February is not an RGB.
Well, what do you guys think in the chat room? Which would you like us to build? The white case with RGB or the white case without RGB? I believe that's the CK500. Was it CK? I'd have to click the links. Hold on, let me check. The model numbers I'm still not quite familiar with. Yeah, CK500WH, the WH means white, and the CK560 WH. They also make these cases in black. They asked if I would showcase some of their stuff. I said, sure. They said, what do you want?
Well, you can tell them.
And I said, well, what do you want me to show? I don't care, whatever you send. Now this one doesn't appear to have any damage in the back. The little damage was a little dent around where the thumb screw goes in. Nobody would ever see it. But there's no damage to the boxes. But I think these came from Hong Kong. These took a long time to arrive.
Look at our votes. Mostly RGB.
Yeah, Matt Zoloff wants no RGB. David Walker wants no RGB. You got to go with the RGB with the RAM. Vern has a good point.
Yeah.
I thought these were both RGB. Robert Kajna contributes €5. He says, hello, Mitch and Carrie. I love your show again. Why do you put your name first? What's going on here? Is this a coup?
Age before beauty. Okay. All right.
I agree with that.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Mesh front, better cooling. Well, we're not going to be overclocking. We could seal the case up entirely and it wouldn't have a cooling problem. You don't have to have, I don't know what the fascination is with this cooling stuff. Who's having cooling problems? Unless you're overclocking, but you bring that on yourself. Gerald Blackmore says, I'm still rocking my Z97 with a 4790K. Hey, nothing wrong with that. You're good till October 14th, 2025 when Windows 10 expires. Or, well, rather, support ends. Nick Poverman with a $10 contribution says, the DeepCool CK560 is on Amazon for $109.99. I think that's... Nick, did you check the links in the video notes? Because I think the link is just what you just said. But thank you for the information and the contribution. Did I miss any other? Andy says, I need my glasses. It's getting worse. Yeah, it's definitely getting worse. Dan Nilsson says, hi all, nice t-shirt today, Mitch. Yes, I'm a big ELO fan.
Me too.
Lance says the airflow on the front of that looks like it isn't very good. What is the fascination with the airflow? Who's got airflow issues? Never in my entire 30 plus year career have I ever had a computer come in for repair where the problem was blocked airflow on the case. I've seen block airflow on heatsinks, CPU heatsinks, you know, where they get clogged up, but never because of the case. Never, not once, never, ever, and I've worked on tens of thousands, literally. When I think about it, it's somewhere between 20 and 30,000 computers that have gone through my hands in 31 years, and
I just
never happened.
I just blew out all 4 of my my desktops. I kind of get in the habit. January, June, January, June. So
good.
Twice a year. You know.
Well, and we live in a very dusty environment here in the desert.
And I will tell you, yeah, the filter for the power supply.
Oh, that one will get plugged up.
Yeah, so I'm like.
But your power supply, that's the other thing people don't consider, right? The power supply is its own ecosystem. Nobody talks about the airflow to the power supply. So it's very closed-minded, it's very myopic, and it's very incomplete by just focusing on the case. Your power supply is completely sealed, and air goes in from the bottom and comes out from the back of the power supply. It has no impact on your case, nor does your case have any impact on it. And yet that's one of the pieces that is most likely going to get clogged with dust first and cause your system to go down. And it has nothing to do with the airflow of the case. The airflow of the case is completely irrelevant to the most critical part of your functioning of your computer. So yeah, blowing out that filter, if you have one under your power supply, under your case rather, is critical, because when that thing gets clogged, it's suffocating and it can't breathe. Then it overheats, and you know, it can take out your components when it goes. So just food for thought on that one. And Madi Yoel joins us, contributes $20.
And what did I use to blow it out with? This handy dandy.
Yeah, I should put a link to that. You know, I've only charged that once when I got it.
Yeah.
And that battery's still holding a charge.
Yeah, great, great. Terry got me one of these things. I actually use them to clean my glasses too.
Mitch read the instructions, I didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm holding the button down. It takes a minute. When you hold the button down, the motor spins up. And Mitch goes, well, you know, you can double click it.
And then it'll stay on, yeah.
So
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, because I didn't read the directions.
But I did.
So I tried it, click, click. Now it just stays on by itself. Want some?
My toupee will fly off. All right.
So I don't know how many months ago I got this, but I charged it all the way to full. And when I get something new with a battery, I like to drain the battery completely after charging it completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't use it a lot, but I'm so accustomed to nickel metal hydride batteries that will just drain over time. You let it sit a week and it's empty. This has been sitting and still holding a charge, and I am impressed.
And again, canned air is so expensive, and for a
And
while,
it's potentially dangerous.
yeah, and for a while it was tough to find. So I was like, Carrie, I gotta get something that's,
Yeah, the canned air, the cans get cold, the pressure goes down. If you tilt the can, the liquid chemical comes out. It can stain the plastics, and if you get it on your skin, it can cause burns. It's not good for the environment either, or the wallet.
So what do you think our vote was? RGV,
I think it's pretty clear it's RGB.
Yeah.
Michael Dane says B&H Photos sell DeepCool cases. All right, well, that's good to know. Appreciate that, Michael. I didn't even think to check there. Tom K contributes $2. He says, happy Friday, guys. And as I was mentioning, Madi OL contributes $20, where you'd be using Madi's old
Motherboard.
CPU and his new Samsung 970 Evo Plus drive.
Ah.
And let's see what else we have here. Just looking at the chat room.
Okay.
Luke Slater says, I got an IT Duster CompuCleaner from Amazon for 50 pounds. Amazing device to clean my computers. Yeah, I'm sure they're all kind of the same. Mike Vision says, I also have that Air Duster. I've only charged it once. It's still going. Yeah, man, it's very impressive. And Cheese Sandwich says, OMG, I want one.
I could have sworn you had a link for it someplace. It might be on your Amazon.
Well, I
something,
need to
yeah.
put a link to it in this
to it,
video. Like
right.
for each video, I need to do it.
Okay.
But if you search YouTube for Kerry Holzman Duster, I'm sure I did a whole video on it. I think I did. I know there's a video at my Amazon store. If you go to amazon.com/shop/Kerry Holzman, the link is in the video notes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did a video.
You'll see
there,
there's a
yeah.
video on the Duster, and there's a link to it. If
Yeah.
you use my link, I make a little bit of commission, so I appreciate it if you do that. It's not enough that makes a big difference, but if everybody does it, it adds up. Andy wants to know if you're feeling better, Mitch, or are you making progress? Mitch kind of injured his back and cracked a couple ribs.
Broke a couple of ribs. And,
Broke 'em.
And no, every day it's a little better. By the end of the day, I get a little tired to where they sting a little bit, and then you get into bed. And again, sleeping on my back is for the birds. I've always been a side sleeper, so I'm okay on the right and on my back, but not yet on the left. But it's getting better. And again, Chad, just for maybe a half hour, I fired up the motorcycle and I just kind of drove it around the block 3 or 4 times because it'd been 3 weeks since I took it out, and I don't like to go a month because the battery probably doesn't, get charged. And so I rode it just gingerly 3 or 4 times around the block to warm it up, and I was like, okay, I mean, the weather's beautiful and it's fine.
Yeah.
I was very cautious, but then I just said that was on the 10th of January, so then I'll wait till the end of July, the end of January, and that'll be, 5 weeks since the accident. But no, thank you for asking. Yeah, it's every day is a little bit easier, and so I must have good healing properties.
Chevy's doing the math on the 20,000 machines over 30 years is 700 each year. It's actually, if you calculate it out to about 2 computers a day. Now, back when I first started in the early 90s, I was going through 4 to 10 computers a day. Yeah, on builds. Mm-hmm. Now, those I wasn't doing entirely by myself, right? I would either put the hardware together, or I would do the software, or I would do repairs. If I didn't have any repairs to do, I went over to the assembly line and jumped on the assembly line, except I didn't cooperate with the assembly line. What I did is I took a table and I took an order, and what you would do is you take the order over to the parts cage, and then they were locked up so people wouldn't steal the parts. Even in '91, employees were stealing. So the person that works behind the cage, which was a fenced-in area in the corner of the warehouse, would get like a tote, and he would take the parts on the build list, put them in the tote. You'd sign off that you're accepting the parts. The person in the cage would sign off that they're giving you the parts. And then I would set up at a little bench and I would build the machine. Once I built it, I'd put it on the sliding track, the little wheels, to send it over to software. I didn't bother with that.
Right.
And then I'd start the next one. So in a day like that, I was doing 4 to 6 of those, and that's when I wasn't doing repairs. So I'd estimate I'm actually done more than 20,000. It's probably closer to 30,000 or at least 25,000 computers. And that's just a numbers game. You know, it's an everyday job that I have been doing unless I am sick or on vacation, every day, and especially when I was self-employed, 7 days a week.
I figured a guy like you, they would have stuck you in the cage. I'm just saying. Did you work the cage some or no? You never worked the cage?
They didn't trust me. Those parts, are you kidding me? You think they were stupid? I don't know how that CPU fell in my pocket.
Yeah.
We were using Sims back then.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, we were building 486s. Yeah, that was the day. But I'll tell you what, though. We would crank out in that warehouse, I would estimate 60 to 100 computers a day.
Wow.
The UPS truck would back up.
Yeah.
The poor shipping guy, his sole job was when the computers passed quality control, and these were big steel computers
Yep.
with power supplies that are this big.
Yep.
And he's a big guy, young big guy, and his job was to pick up the case and shake it over his head, because sometimes the builders left little screws or we didn't use much of zip ties, but sometimes the little plastic bits and stuff, and that caused damage in shipping. So anyway, so what they learned to do was take it, shake it. So we did the shake test, and then we had custom boxes made, and then we put we had a clear plastic bag, just the way cases are shipped, only these were full. His job was first to shake it, then the panels were U-shaped. So it was a big, heavy thing, probably weighed 6 or 8 pounds, of a steel U-shaped panel that had edges around the front. So you'd have to stick it in to underneath the bezel, then squeeze it and push it, slide it, and so the edges went underneath the bezel and left and right. And then you put 2 or 3 screws on the left, 2 or 3 screws on the right, and you put the clear plastic bag over it, the custom styrofoam we had, because all the cases were the same model. You didn't get a choice. And then that went into a big double-walled box. Then that got taped up, and the address label, which was part of the build order, which stayed with the computer like it was taped,
Yep.
would get printed out as a label. That would go on, and then that would go towards the loading dock. So yeah, 60 to 100 a day, every day, Monday through Friday. And then I worked on the retail side, and retail was open on weekends. So it's not an exaggeration is what I'm getting at. That's literally a serious number of how many computers I've had my hands on. Some days were busier than others, but I would average it out between 20 and 30,000. And again, never once was there ever an issue with heat that was related to the case. Not back in 91 and not in 2022. It's never happened. Robert Malovich says, hello. Luke Slater said, was it easier to build computers in the 90s? No. When I first started, you had to insert each RAM module, each chip, and you'd do a series of 8 chips in a row. And if the customer wanted parity, there'd be a 9th chip. And every time you pushed the chip in, one of the legs of the chip could bend under it. So if it didn't work, there was no way to visually inspect it in most cases. You had to pop each chip out. You get a small flat blade screwdriver, wiggle them out. Well, that one's good. You didn't have to take them all the way out, because if you took them all the way out, you have to push it back in, you could bend the leg again. Every card, sound card, we didn't have network cards, but we had modems. All of that, the motherboard was just a board. Nothing came on the board. Setting up master and slave on mechanical drives, and then setting up termination on SCSI drives. It was a far more complicated process. Setting jumpers for COM ports and IRQs on modems and sound cards, so you couldn't share the same numbers. So you had to kind of keep track of it in your head of how you were configuring it, depending on how much hardware there was. And these things were beasts. They were this big, and they were very heavy. I used to, when I would carry them out to the car for the local customers, when they're bringing them in for repair, they weren't in boxes. And so what I used to do is I used to rest the edge of the computer against my hip, and it made it very light to carry it that way. But what would happen is on my Levi's, right above my right pocket, the fabric started to shred. It was a weird place. Kids, they'll buy the pants now that are already pre-shredded, the knees or the leg. Mine were up at the pocket. So, yeah, but it was I was so proud of myself to figure that out, because they were heavy.
Yeah.
But when you put the weight of it on my hip, right? And then suddenly all you had to do was balance it.
Right.
And then you just picked up the weight then to put it in the customer's car. So yeah, building computers in the 90s was far more complicated than today. But what's interesting is the enthusiasts, it's strictly the enthusiasts, have made computers more complicated because they're just too easy now. So now they're adding unnecessary nonsense like this cable management and the clear glass and the RGB is just hubcaps on a lawnmower is all it is. You might as well just spend your money on hubcaps for your lawnmower. It does nothing to improve the effectiveness of the lawnmower. It does nothing to improve the reliability of the lawnmower. It's like jewelry. So people, because it's so easy, I think people are just bored and they're looking for something to make it complicated. So with liquid cooling, especially custom liquid cooling, they add in all kinds of unnecessary expense. In most cases, it's entirely unnecessary. And then, you know, the whole reason we used to overclock back in the day is we used to get 200-300% returns. Now you're lucky to get 15%. And the technology is evolving so quickly that all it takes is something like DDR5 to come out. And no matter what you overclocked your system to last year, it's going to smoke you. Just running stock DDR5 is going to smoke it. Or Gen 4 NVMe is going to. All the work and money you invested is a very short-term and quickly depreciating asset. Computers are constantly evolving, and what you had to do to get that 10 or 15% is now just stock on the next generation. All you had to do is wait a few months. So to me, I think it's a huge waste of money and a huge waste of time, and nearly every single corporate business agrees. So I am a pragmatic technician. I'm here to look at what's practical, not necessarily what's possible. I'm not going to climb a mountain. Why did you climb it? Because it was there. If I'm climbing a mountain, I have a reason. There's something up there I want. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that in my videos, I'm bringing in an air of practicality where there's not much of it in the tech sector here on YouTube. Much of what I see is very impractical, or it's technical minutia that ordinary people could care less about, that ultimately don't make really any difference unless you're at scale. Meaning, unless you're doing 100 computers or 1,000 computers, little details, they're little tiny crumbs that you should, in my opinion, just look past them. Some people are just exceptionally anally retentive, and I don't think it's justifiable. However, if that's what they want to prioritize, they have every right to do that. I'm just afraid that people who are unfamiliar and they're just now entering the hobby think it's important and start to adopt that obsessive attitude, which I would encourage if it was beneficial. But it just seems to create anxiety and expense. Ben Laird contributes £5. Hey Ben, thank you so much for your continued support. And I suppose we're going to do the RGB build, huh?
Yeah, muscles. Get that case off.
Let me get out the guns.
Mountain climber, yeah. Climb that case off.
I'll climb a hill, but I'm not climbing any mountains. All right, so this will be a practical build for later. Just put it on this one. Okay, there it is, the 560WH. And you know what else? Ooh, we can pair that with an RGB keyboard and an RGB mouse.
Looky there.
Which I will have to put links to. But we'll show that off a little later. Don't let me forget.
So what are you thinking, the side panels?
Yeah, well, the side panels have to come off. Here, let me get out the
Little red.
driver here, and I'll step around so they can see.
You know, I was quite impressed that your hair stayed on when you used the blower. I'm just saying.
Gorilla Glue.
Good solid tape there. Yeah.
Gorilla Glue.
Okay.
All right, so the first panel here. Oh, that's interesting. It only has a grip here, nothing holding it at the top or bottom. Now, normally I don't like that because the cables can push outward, but they've given us enough depth for the cable management.
Well, and I like that the thumb screws stay in. Not that you
Yeah, they're
lose them,
captive.
but yeah, they're captive.
Yeah.
So.
And then we've got, it looks like a fan and RGB controller here with a SATA, not a Molex connector.
Okay.
You can tell the difference that you pay in price, right? When we had that cheap case,
Yeah.
it had a Molex connector for the fans that ran
last
full
week.
speed at all times. So, yeah, and there's all our front port umbilicals here. USB 3 and USB Type-C. We've got a hard drive cage down here for two 3.5-inch drives. It's an interesting design. You just squeeze that one side.
Toolless.
No, it's not toolless. You'll have to screw the drives in.
Ah.
No, wait a minute. No, you're right. It is toolless. There are little nubs.
Oh, the
This
nubbins.
is toolless.
Okay.
This is toolless, but if you lose the tray or the
Right.
tray cracks,
Yeah.
not so good. But that's okay. I mean, it's not terrible. It's okay. Then we've got our
bag of-
hardware, which includes ARGB headers for the fans. If you don't want to use the switch, you could hook it up to a compatible motherboard with ARGB.
Bag of stuff. Okay.
And I'll put this back. And let's turn around this side. Let me put this panel down. I think this will go right over here. I already unscrewed those things.
Oh.
So this one should be the same. Yep. And it's heavy. Very good. Okay, so that means the next thing we can do, if we want, we can put the power supply in. Now, I've never used any of DeepCool's power supplies ever. So this is the PQ1000M 1000 watt 80 plus gold modular power supply. But you hand me the knife. Thank you. Might need that again. Let's see if they, sometimes they tape they tape the box. Or maybe not.
And that is not even semi-modular. That's got the cables.
I think this is full modular. I'm not sure.
Oh, we shall see.
It's heavy. That's usually a good sign on a power supply.
1000 watt. Okay.
Okay, I guess I could give that back. We have a box within a box, and that contains all the modular cables, power cable, some more modular cables, some Velcro cable management, which is nice touch. And we got one of these little bad boys. That's to force the power supply on if you were priming a liquid cooling pump, like a custom pump. Screws to mount the power supply. Directions. And silica gel, which, you know, in my opinion, should be going into the container side of it holding the power supply. Who cares if any of that gets wet? That doesn't make any sense. This is supposed to absorb moisture. It should be on this side. Minor little nitpick. So this side here, as you can see the way this is packed, this is our power supply. I like that it's not, a lot of the higher wattage power supplies are longer, they're physically larger. This one is not. And they usually charge more to get that compact size. Now, the problem with these holes on the bottom is they're so big. If you were to mount this power supply upside down, if you were using a different case, let's say you didn't have that power supply shroud, like Thermaltake builds cases where there's no venting at the bottom and you have to turn this with the fan facing up. And the cases allow for mounting. This one doesn't. This is interesting, I'm just noticing. Most cases allow for mounting the power supply in either direction, meaning there's a set of 8 holes instead of 4, because one is offset, which means if you flip it around, the offset hole's in the opposite corner. But these holes are so big that if you were to be installing this and working on the computer and you dropped a screw, it could go inside of there. And that would not be good. These holes should be half the size they are for safety, because if they were just an additional, if the width of these holes was cut in half, then it would be, for the most part, it would block most screws, except maybe an M.2 screw. It would block most screws from falling in there. That's a high voltage area. And even if you have the switch off with the power plugged in, it is possible to short circuit. And I mean, it would be a very loud bang that could actually destroy this. It could have shrapnel. It could get really, really nasty. So it's not an issue when we pair this power supply with this case, because they're only going to allow the installation facing down, because if we look at the back, there's only 4 holes instead of 8, and the offset one I talked about is here. But if we were to install this upside down, then the offset hole would be down in the opposite corner. Wait, what's this little piece of paper in here say? Oh, this is about the power supply tester. They're calling it a tester. I don't know why they call it a tester. All it does is flip the power supply on. So again, that's usually used when you want to prime a custom liquid cooling where you don't want the system running. So that's going to go down here like so. Kind of like that this power switch kind of stands out. One of the complaints I'm hearing from customers is when you have like the Synology NAS, it's a black box with black drive bays with a black power button. A lot of my, especially my older customers or my customers that have it in a dimly lit room, they can't see the button. They're like, why did they make the button the exact same color as the rest of the case? I don't know where it is. So by doing this, they kind of have a teal or turquoise, I don't know what you call that. You kind of
Pews. I don't know.
What'd you call me?
Pews.
I like that. It stands out. And then this button here is obviously for putting it into a mode of power efficiency where the fan will not turn if the power supply doesn't need any cooling. So you can have the fan turn all the time, or you can have the fan shut off when it's not needed. I'm not sure which position of the switch activates one or the other, but that's what that's for. There are some little rubber feet, little tiny rubber feet underneath but that the power supply is going to sit on, and they're attached to the case. And those are to prevent noise, because there's a fan in it. There could be some vibration. So metal on metal could create an annoying rattle. So you'll see on higher end cases, little rubber feet, and those are there just as anti-vibration to keep it everything nice and quiet. Okay, so we got the screws. Thank you, Mitch. Now, I can't reach over to adjust the power supply because the shroud is in the way. Does the shroud come off? I like it when the shroud comes off. The shroud is riveted in. That's disappointing. In a case at this price point, I would like to see these rivets replaced with screws so that you can, you know, how am I supposed to align this power supply if I can't reach over and align it? So I've got to get in here and kind of go back and forth and look, back and look, and go back and keep adjusting until I get the holes lined up right there. And then to secure it, I don't want to end up pushing the power supply into the case, so I'm going to have to use a hand to push it this way. So a little tip there to DeepCool. regarding the holes on the bottom of the power supply and the shroud being riveted in. Those are a couple changes I'd like to make, if it were mine to decide. Now, you would expect a DeepCool power supply and a DeepCool case would fit like a glove, and your expectations would be met. Everything's fitting perfectly. You know, the other thing is if DeepCool doesn't, for whatever reason, doesn't want to change those rivets out to screws, they should at least have a little cutout here where they can promote whatever power supply, in this case their own power supply, with a sticker that shows off through the hole. And that hole is what you'll use whenever you want to reach in there and make the installation of the power supply simpler. The other thing they could do is this whole piece could be cut out, or a frame could be added if they made this piece bigger. And in the frame, as we've seen on other case designs, attaches to the power supply, and then you slide the whole power supply in. In that case, you wouldn't need to be able to remove, the requirement to remove the shroud would be severely reduced. So there's 3 different engineering ways that they could easily fix that. I don't even want to say fix, I'm going to say improve. There's nothing wrong with it, it just could be better.
Did you want to tighten those up, or?
Yeah, will you give me the yellow handled driver? Admiral Six Killer in the chat room has completely not heard what I said, and it disappoints me when I teach and people don't listen. He's saying that the holes don't matter, the size of those, because it's got a filter underneath of it. I said if you were to mount the power supply with the fan facing up, there would be no filter on it. As a result, it would be a hazard because the holes are so large that if you were to drop a screw, and you will drop a screw, it's going to go inside of that power supply. And if that power supply is plugged in, or you don't realize it, or you forget about it, and you turn the machine on, there could be sparks and fire. So this is not something to be taken so flippantly. In this case design, because it has the shroud, obviously if you dropped a screw, it wouldn't go anywhere. But I'm talking about using this power supply in a, for example, the Thermatake what was it called? AHT 600, something like that. There's no holes on the bottom of that case. Not all cases have holes on the bottom. I don't think you realize that, which forces you to put the power supply in the other way. You don't have a choice. On the other hand, some people do make that choice. Some cases allow you to. In most cases you see me work on, like even a Corsair 200R, we can put the power supply in with the fan facing down or the fan facing up. There is no shroud. There's 8 holes for that reason. And if you were to drop the screw, once again, it is an extreme high voltage hazard. So, so please pay attention to what I'm saying, because some of this information is vital. This is not a warranty issue. If you drop a screw inside the power supply, that's your fault. So if you look at other power supplies, you'll notice the holes are much smaller. In fact, every power supply you'll ever see me use has never had holes that big, ever. So for example, if we grab, where's the spare power supply? Do we have 1 or 2 spares over there? I don't even know what they are, just grab it. Take a look at the size of the holes here. Now this is critical. If we grab a screw, computer screw, like the ones we just used on the power supply, it won't go in. Can you see that? That screw, where did the screw go? It's right there. It will not go in. The holes are too narrow. That's not coincidence. That's by design. Do we have another power supply over there?
Yeah.
Let me trade me. So that's an EVGA 500 watt. This is a $30 power supply. Here's our $28. This is a budget $28 500 watt Aries game power supply. Look at the narrowness of those holes. This screw won't even, I can't even get the screw in. Look at here. Trying to figure out how I can show this to you. You see that? The screw won't go in. Now I dare not make this attempt with that power supply because I may not be able to get the screw out. Now this is a $27.99 power supply, and even they have had the courtesy to ensure your safety by making those holes not so wide. I don't think I have ever worked on a power supply where the holes were that wide before. And there's a reason for that, and I'm trying to educate you. So, you know, if you want to dismiss that, then dismiss it. But don't say you weren't told. Okay, so let's move some of this out of the way here. Now, I suppose we need to prep the motherboard, since that's about all we can do with the case for right now. There's obviously no optical drive or 5 1/4 inch bays. Those have been gone for a while now. Trying to figure out where our 2.5 inch drives go. We've got some nice cable management grommets. I like how they did that. Cutouts in the right places. I like that. I like that the screws for mounting any PCIe are all on the inside of the case and not on the outside. We see them on the outside on cheaper cases. I like that this panel is made of metal. I like how easy the filter is to get off. I don't know anything about these fans yet, but we'll find out when we get to that part, if they're loud or quiet or how much air they're moving. They're strictly there for looks anyway. And yeah, I wonder the 2.5, oh, so this is where your 2.5 inch drives are gonna go right here. There's room for 2 of them back behind the motherboard tray. And you see how big the cutout is here? This is fantastic. If you look at the case we did, was it last Friday? The cutout was like this, which means that many motherboards will not align properly with the back of the CPU bracket, which means if you put your motherboard in and then you try and put a cooler on or change the cooler you have, the whole motherboard has to come out. When you have a bigger opening like this, then it's a much easier process because first of all, you're going to do it faster. You're going to be less likely to damage anything. And it's just easier. Then we, of course, have the cutout up here in the corner for the 8-pin CPU power connector, which we did not have any on that cheap $50 case from China, that RGB case,
Right.
the hot dog build.
Yep.
This is not a hot dog build. This is on par, I'd say, in many ways with NZXT, Corsair, Fantex. It's so close, so close. Like I say, with a couple of those little minor improvements that I've seen so far, or that I can, things that I see that could be improved are very minor. This I'm concerned about, but this is the fan controller or the RGB controller. Not sure which. I think it's RGB. So we'll get to that. We'll get to that. This may be good. I don't know. You can't add any more fans to it, but I guess there's no place else to put fans anyway, except maybe up here. But generally speaking, you do not want fans on the top of your computer. If you have fans on the top, they should be exhausting air only. And if you have fans on the top, you do not need any fans on the back. If you have a fan on the back, then you don't need fans on the top. If you don't believe me, if you have both fans on the top and on the back, and you're not running liquid cooling up here, disable the fan on the top and just leave the fan on the back running and check your temps. And then disable the one on the back and turn the ones on the top and check your fans. Check your temps. If you have a radiator up here, then you don't need this fan back here. It will make no difference on your cooling. I promise you. If you try it, see for yourself. Do not believe me. Do it yourself. See with your own eyes. See what the truth is. Stop believing everything you hear online and just check it. It's very simple to unplug a cable and check your temps. So most people put all those fans in because, one, they're paranoid or they've been taught incorrectly, or they're RGB and they just want as much RGB as possible. So it's about the aesthetic. It has nothing to do with the cooling. Okay, now, if you're overclocking, different rules apply depending on how extreme your overclock is and your case. In which case, you're an exemption. And we don't do that here because I'm a channel trying to educate people who are new or considering this, or they're just curious. And I want to make everything very digestible and simple. And if you follow all the simple steps and all of the engineering protocols, you won't need any of that other stuff. Okay. Is that clear, Mitch?
In Indubitably. So you need to take this off so we can prep the motherboard, right?
Yeah, so the board I've got, it's a brand new Z390 Gaming X I bought some time ago, and I just haven't gotten around to using it yet. And thankfully I had it, because trying to find one today, you know, the 300 series, they're not being made anymore because, well, the 400 and 500 series are out, so the manufacturers are all building for that. And the 600 series, right? So, yeah, the 400 series will be 10th gen. The 500 series is 11th gen. The 600 series is 12th gen. So the 300 series is all but dried up. The only thing I could find that was decent and a good price was that ASRock Z370 Pro for $99.99 at Amazon. And I suspect that's going to be the end of it. Once those are sold out, I think, you know, to find a full-size ATX board for a 8th or 9th gen Intel processor is going to be very difficult. You'll have to buy used, or you'll have to buy from eBay, something like that. So we're right at the tail end of all that right now. Robert Jakowski joins us. He says, happy Friday. Hey, Robert, happy Friday to you. CCTV user says older CPUs are fine when not gaming or editing, but you may run into issues in Windows 11. Well, that's not necessarily true either. Depends on the games. Some games, you know, run just fine. So if you're talking about the latest AAA titles, then for sure. But if it was the latest AAA title from 3 years ago, it's probably fine. Slappy contributes 20 bucks. He says, I just finished 2 new PC builds with the help of your videos.
Hey.
Right on. Thank you, Slappy. Slappy, a moderator in there, Mitch?
Here's your...
The mouse.
The mouse.
Let's see if I can do that. I got to go over to this side of the screen. Oh, he's already a moderator. Right on. Thank you, Slappy. What are you people? 532 people are watching. Where are you watching us from? Where are you in the world? Let us know.
Are you cold? Are you warm?
Nobody's warm. Well,
yeah.
Australia and New Zealand.
What was the temp today?
Florida.
Uncle Kerry, what do you guess?
Well, it's still going up, right? It's only...
I'm going to guess 68 maybe here.
I'm going to guess 73.
That seems a little warm here, but...
Now look, earlier today it says 57,
Okay,
but it hasn't refreshed since 10 o'clock in the morning. At 10 o'clock in the morning it was 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It's 68 degrees.
Yeah.
You win. Mitch wins. Mitch the weatherman. You know, if things don't work out here, you might
My
have
bunions were aching, so that told me it was 68.
Is that how you know when it's going to rain?
No.
Your arthritis acts
No,
up?
the plate in my head. All right, so...
Well, that's what keeps the aliens from reading your mind.
Okay.
Mitch is thinking, there's no way you can get in my head, la, 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 go away, Carrie.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
35 degrees in Ohio. Yeah. In Kansas City, it's 44. So, yeah, so where are you guys watching us from? We're always curious how far around the world we can reach. I think we reach all the way around. Mike McCrae joins us from Aberdeen, Scotland. Right on.
You didn't know I was a flat earther? I'm just saying.
I thought you were a flat footer. Jacob Smith contributes, he says, Missouri, winter. Oh, man, boy, you see that chat room moving?
Yeah.
I can't read it fast enough. Craig Casabona with a $5 contribution says, how are you and Mitch doing? It's nice to see you live. I'm from Belmore, New York. Thank you, Craig. We're doing well. You doing well?
Yeah.
We hope you're doing good, too. 7 degrees Celsius in Scotland. A lot of Scottish people.
Thomas
watching.
from Chicago.
I think we need to do like a meetup in Scotland. I think we'd have more people show up for it
than here
than anywhere else in the
Right,
world.
yeah.
Isn't that strange? And they deep fry everything, I'm told, so I should be happy there. You want me to reheat this pizza for you? Put it in the deep fryer. Stonehaven, Scotland. That's Ian Scott Johnson. Look at all the Scottish people.
Yeah.
I love it. Stephen Pacey joins us from Gloucester. See, now that looks like it's Gloucestershire, but how much you want to bet it's pronounced like Gloucester? Probably. I don't know. Gloucestershire.
Like Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Shire. All right.
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
Rickard Jacobson joins us from Sweden. Hey, speaking of Sweden, there is a great series of books called The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And it was written by a guy, I'm going to just go this off the top of my head here, so I hope I get it all right. Stig Larsson. Stig died before his books were published. And of course, that became a movie here in America with Daniel Craig and, I forget the girl's name, but
Mara Rooney.
Mara Rooney. But in Sweden, they did a television miniseries of all 3 books. So the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest, The Girl Who Played with Fire. I think I got the order wrong. Anyway, and I got it with English subtitles. It's all Swedish.
Okay.
It is so, so good. Now, they did the 4th movie. So like in America, they did the 1st movie, and they did the 4th movie, which is weird. The Girl... The Spider's Web, something like that. That was the 4th book. But Stig didn't write a 4th book. So this other author, and I think there was an argument with the family, I don't know that they agreed that this author should be writing their relative's book. But I think their publisher had some control over this. But anyway, now there's the series continues. The first 3 books, well, the only ones I can speak for, because I haven't read anything written by the other person. So The Girl in the Spider's Web, I never even saw that movie. But if you can find the Swedish version, the Swedish TV show, each episode is 2 parts, and each part is 90 minutes long. Okay. So it's a good 9 hours of watching, and they're good. I mean, this feels like a real hacker, female sort of counterculture kind of person.
So the lead gal's good.
She's really good. I think her name is Naomi Rapace. I don't know how to say her last name, but she's been in some American movies too. But and it's all in Swedish. And I think there's a dubbed version, which I don't like because the lips won't be in sync. So I get the subtitle version. And it's a few years old. It's quite a few years old, but it's still, I think, with a few exceptions of some of the technology has changed, it's still highly recommended. Okay, so what did I miss? Brian says Gloucestershire is pronounced Gloucestershire. Gloucestershire. See, I told you it'd be something like that. Thank you for helping me with the pronunciation. The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is Stig Larsson. Isn't that what I said? I said Stig. Is it Stig? I think that's what I said. Thank you. Michael Dane says it's time for Mitch's corny joke of the day. Oh no. Why did you do that, Michael? What did we do to you?
Now? Now is it time?
Yeah, before we get onto the board.
Oh, okay. Now, my friends, it's time for corny joke of the day.
I'm going to look up my corny joke. Okay. You think of your own.
Let me think. Okay. Why do zombies hate pirates?
Why do zombies hate pirates?
They're too salty. Oh. No? Not good?
Which bear is the most condescending?
I don't know.
A panda.
Hey, did you hear about the mystic gopher?
No, I didn't hear about the mystic gopher.
He has tunnel visions.
You know what's brown and sticky?
No.
A stick.
Oh. There we go.
You know how you get a country girl's attention?
Mm-mm.
A tractor.
Okay. And with that, back to the...
What do you call a pudgy psychic?
No.
A fortune teller. Fortune.
Yeah.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah.
What did Tennessee?
Don't know.
The same thing as Arkansas.
Okay. I'll give you one. All right, there you go.
You know why bees have sticky hair?
No.
They use a honeycomb.
Okay.
All right, enough of that. Are you happy now?
Yeah.
Are you happy?
Michael asked for it. He got it.
Well, we aim to please here.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Okay.
More abuse? Anybody? Michael says stay working on computers. You asked.
Yeah.
You asked. This is your own fault. What do you want to put on the cooler, you think? Solid state drive?
NVMe.
Solid state drive it is. The 2 terabyte 970 Evo Plus. This is a very fast drive as far as Gen 3 drives go. They've been on sale at Amazon since November. I think today they're $219. They bounced around $219, $229 lately over at Amazon. You want to do the honors?
Yeah. Is this? Do they? I never can tell whether that's the screw to mount it or whether it's attached. It must be. Yeah.
Let me get my glasses and I'll look. Yeah, the screw is on there.
Number one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we use the JIS driver.
No close-ups.
Oh, let's get the close-up camera. Jeez, camera operator slacking. You know, good help is hard to find.
I must have one of these.
Just one?
Yeah.
And then they hide the directions there.
Oh.
You have to separate this out, and then there's your documentation that we won't read. And there's our documentation. Okay. Michael Dane says, Confucius say, man who eat many prunes sit on can for many moons.
I like it. All right.
D Bullet Thrower says, Corsair 200R, good luck finding one. They're in stock. Corsair 200Rs are available. I got about 14 of them, brand new. I don't know how long they'll be in stock, but go to Corsair.com and buy them direct from Corsair. Limit 2 per person. Luckily, I know 7 people. Well, 6 people. But if you go to Corsair.com and then click on the little magnifying glass in the upper right, type in 200R, and then it'll come up with 200R. You click on that, and there's your case, $64.99. Oh, looks like they're out of stock again. Isn't that hilarious?
Missed it by that much.
Last time I said they were out of stock, they're like, no, they're in stock. I look, they were in stock. Now I'm like, no, they're back in stock. And then so every day it changes.
Oh, yeah.
So keep checking back. They might just go right back in stock again. I wonder how many they sold. And I hope whoever is in charge of product management there
Sees how fast they sold.
notices that not everybody wants RGB and glass panels. Okay, so
Camera number 3.
Dan Nelson says, why is dark spelled with a K? Because you can't see in the dark. See.
See, yeah. You can.
And let me go to our magic camera with feet. Is it this one? It is that one. All right. Let's see if I can use the force and draw the camera closer. I've been practicing using the force.
Here's our NVMe.
Don't put it on me. Put it on the work.
Here's our NVMe slot that we're going to use closest to the chip. The screw is actually attached, so we've got a number 1 screwdriver. Magnetized, of course, so we'll remove that screw. Very tiny. Don't want to lose that. Okay. Beautiful. 2 beautiful terabytes. Okay, here's our notchy.
I hate 2 ugly terabytes.
Yeah. Here's our notchy right there. So, too much Coke. All right. A cola. All right. There we go. I had to preface that. All right. Just like that, till the gold fingers disappear. Diving board action. just till the screw stops, and maybe a little quarter turn. For good measure. Boom. 2 terabytes of lovely storage. Okay.
I didn't know you spoke French.
Yeah. What next?
I was looking at contributions. Danny sent $100. Holy smokes! Well,
all for me.
Who's
Okay.
Danny in the chat room? Thank you,
Is he a
Danny.
moderator? Is he a moderator?
I don't know who his name is in the chat room. And then there's Luke Greeny is $25. Right on. Thanks, you guys. And then there's okay. I think I'm all updated there. Now,
What next?
what do you think? The cooler?
Okie dokie.
Yeah, I think we should do the cooler. Let's keep all the documentation together over there. And I'm going to break out my precise surgeon tool. Aw.
It was magic. My magic finger. Not that one. All right, so
Let me
here.
see your fingernails.
Okay.
Do you have I just want to verify
Okay.
you said Coca-Cola,
Oh,
not
yeah,
Coke.
yeah.
See if one of his nails is long. Give me that.
So this is a DeepCool. Ooh, got tapey.
Oh, so their packaging is pretty consistent, right? The power supply was packed very similarly. Wow, did those hands move quick? Boy, you just cut him 3 times, and he thinks he's going to do it every time. All right, give me
Okay.
that. So that's the model. And these are the specifications. People can freeze frame that if they want to read it. And of course the details on the website that I've linked in the video notes.
Very nice. We got a box of stuff. Yay! It's nutty! Look at that nice. Be quiet.
Let's not be quiet.
I was just testing
be
you.
quiet.
You nut. All right. Yeah.
Look at my butt.
Here we go with a box of stuff. You pull out the box of stuff.
All right, so now look at here.
Okay.
This is pretty clever. If you notice there
It's got a doodad.
and there,
Oh. Isn't that amazing?
huh?
Ah.
And then this whole piece will come out as one. Look at that.
Jeez. A double fanner.
Look at the grill pattern on the radiator. Interesting. Fans are already pre-installed, see that? Got some piece of cardboard here separating that one. That is a honker, isn't it? And then the top of it, normally you don't see this on the top of the heatsink, but they put a nice little black top to it so that it won't look terrible when you've got a windowed case,
Will
right?
those light up? Just
That's a fair question. I think, when you have black fans, right, they're not see-through, it's likely not RGB. Nothing on the box said it was RGB. And it is interesting, there is a little cutout there, but it's just 2 connectors going directly to
both
each fan.
fans.
Nothing's going to this.
okay.
So I'm going to go with no. Just, again, not looking at any I'm over here. Not looking at any documentation, but in the business a long time, things should be pretty obvious and intuitive unless it's really poorly engineered. I'm just kind of curious how that goes together. Ah, okay. So that's all they did here. That's the underside of that.
Okay.
We can count the heat pipes. Well, I guess we could count them here. Like, so if we got 6. And then this piece is just
For show.
just a piece of, it's just for show, and it's this little hole right here. You see there's a little plastic nubbins that sticks out, and it just slides in there. It's not meant to really to come off, but you know me. I gotta look. I gotta
You're
know
gonna
what's under
you're
there.
gonna need a back plate, right? In the box.
I absolutely am going to need a back plate for sure. Let's see what this mounting mechanism is going to be like.
Look at all that
Oh,
stuff.
look, they've decided to go with Noxia's design of the blister maker screwdriver. That's disappointing.
Thermal paste.
But at least they did a good job in giving us what looks like a fairly full tube. I don't know how long that plunger is, but the fact that it's sticking up so high is promising.
Don't talk graphic. Okay, all right, there you go.
This is if you have one fan header on your motherboard. This is a fan splitter. I don't think we're going to need this. This should have CPU and CPU optional fan headers, if I recall correctly. Oh, good. Okay, so
And look how they tuck the documentation. Isn't that
the
nice?
same as the power supply, yeah. So they have this little sleeve. I like that. It's a waste of material, but it's nice. So in here, you remember why I got so upset with Noctua? How they're forcing us to build the back plate where it was already pre-assembled, and they said, well, we're doing it for 12th gen compatibility.
Okay.
Well, there are more 8th, 9th, and 10th gen CPUs and 11th gen CPUs than there are 12th in the market as of January 2022. So why would you force 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th gen people who are making their PC, force them to build the bracket, increasing the odds of them doing it wrong because you could put things on backwards or use the wrong screws, the wrong standoffs. It's very confusing. They should have just made a separate bracket and said, hey, if you have 12th gen, email us, we'll send you a bracket. Or sell it separately. But I have 23 computers to build, and 22 of them are 9th, 10th, and 11th gen. Only one of them is 12th gen. So forcing me to build that bracket for the other 22 because of that one, and it's the most expensive tower cooler you can buy of that size, and they give you a cheap blister maker screwdriver. So I'm really, really upset with Noctua. You might not see anything but maybe Noctua fans anymore because the response to me was very arrogant. So I'm curious how DeepCool approaches this.
Okay.
Pre-built, pre-assembled bracket. Thank you, DeepCool.
With the washers.
It's already done for us. You don't have to worry, does it go on this way, does it go on this way? What standoffs do I use? Does it, like even the cutouts here, this can go, this is strictly an Intel bracket. And this will be able, like, because there's a cutout here and equally on the other side, that means the bracket can go on either way. So this is something you're not going to get wrong if you're a novice builder. So we'll place that. Watch, look how easy this is. Watch Noctua. It's not that the doing the work is hard. It's that trying to figure out which screws and which holes. Go ahead and set it down, if you would, please.
You missed it. I missed it. Let me try to line it up like that. No, I can't.
I'll get it. You can go ahead
Okay.
and set it down. It's fine. Just as long as we don't put any weight on it, it's fine. Now, in the bag, we've got a bag for what appears to be AMD and a bag for what I'm going to guess is Intel. Again, I'm not looking at any documentation. I want to keep emphasizing this because it should be intuitive and simple unless it's poorly engineered. That's my opinion. So we're going to dump this bag of parts out right here so we can see what we get. Now, these little standoffs here, where there's a short edge and a long edge, these are used on an Intel socket 2011 or 2066, kind of a higher end, more expensive CPU. So those four we're not using. Then we're going to need 4 of these thumb screws, and then these are the standoffs that we use. So how does this all go together? Don't worry about that, I'll get it in a second. So I'm going to realign this bracket here. This appears to be a very easy install. And then we'll take these standoffs, and you'll see there's a little washer on one side, and we're going to just turn that right there. And then we'll do the opposite corner, so that'll hold that bracket for us. And then underneath here, oh, that's a slippery little devil, isn't he? All right, I'm going to put this one down here. I got to give kudos to DeepCool for doing a better job on their installation than Noctua was doing. When people look up to Noctua like they're the leaders, it's all an illusion, folks. It's all just marketing, manipulating your thoughts. Because as a professional PC builder, There's no way I'm going to pay my employees to build brackets and then turn around and bill my customers for all that extra labor. And then pay more for the cooler to do it, by the way, too.
And I always get confused about the brackets. Whether do they go this way or this way?
It's a fair question because
This
they will,
way or
they
this
will go
way?
on wrong, right? So there's
So-
still a way to make a mistake. However, in general, and every cooler I've ever seen, the brackets always go on over the lever that installs the CPU. So if the lever runs this way, the bracket goes over it. There you go. Now, I haven't read any documentation, so before we put these little cap screws down, I just want to grab the cooler and visualize it, right? We want the cooler with this fan facing the RAM, and I want to make sure that we can affix it that way, and we cannot. Do you see how the screws are here and here? So this will be the very first cooler that I have installed where these brackets do not go over the lever.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting.
Take them off?
Yeah.
Because they go this way.
Exactly, but that's how you can easily tell.
Okay.
Now, the cooler will run in a vertical position or a horizontal position, but we want the airflow to all move in the same direction, which is from the front of the computer, which is here, and through the back. Remember, we've got a rear case fan that's going to be blowing air out this way. So if we were to mount this like this or like this, we'd be interrupting the airflow. We'd have some air going this way, some air going this way, and then you'd have like a dead spot where no air is moving where they cross over. That's pretty interesting that they made that decision because it goes against what is the norm. There's nothing wrong with it, it's just different. Now we can take these little cap screws and secure these brackets. And you'll see the brackets, they have a screw sticking up. Can you see that right there? Can you get a close-up?
Nubbin, yeah.
You want that pointing up. If you point it down, you could run into the board. And these don't seem to, let's see, oh yeah, there they do. I was going to say it didn't seem like it had an up or a down. It's got a very tiny Phillips head up on top. And I'm being lazy today. You shouldn't do what I'm going to do, but I have a very low torque setting here. And then what I'll do is this is a terrible tool. I do not recommend using these. It will hurt your hands. And you know what? It doesn't even fit well into the, look at it sliding. I cannot recommend that. You should throw that in the trash can. I'm going to use the screwdriver that Scythe includes. Their screwdriver fits better and is included with their cooler. So you got to improve this DeepCool. This, if your competitor can include this nice screwdriver, you can do better at this price point. This should be on a budget cooler, not on a higher end cooler like this, in my opinion.
Which is humble.
Absolutely. I get really angry when companies eat my time, especially when I'm paying extra for their parts. This is about a $100 cooler, I think. So, you know, I expect it to be at that level of where $100 coolers from
Is there
competitors.
thermal compound under that, or you don't know?
Well, no, they gave us thermal compound.
gotcha,
So if they
yeah.
gave us thermal compound, there wouldn't already be
That's
thermal.
right.
Also, if there was thermal compound, there would generally be like a clear cover,
Gotcha.
not something
And
sticky.
typically a circle. You know.
Well, it could be a circle, square, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't have anything sticky attached to it, right? It wouldn't be able to touch.
So it's glove time, all right?
So we have to peel this off like so. And the center fan will have to come out because, as you can see, to get to the screws that we have to tighten down, they're actually not screws. The screws are down on the bracket. So these have holes that go over the screw. I forget what you would call that.
Yeah.
And they're on springs. Why is it not moving? I guess it just tightens down. It's got little lock washers on the end of it. This is pretty interesting. And the reason they cover this area is they want to keep it clean of any fingerprints or dust or dirt in order to transfer heat as efficiently as possible. So yes, Mitch, we can now apply the thermal compound. I'm going to move some of these boxes out of the way. So dainty.
Yeah.
Is this a white glove event?
Pinky up. Okay. And that's just a cap, right?
Yes.
And you think the whole plunger? Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Well,
we'll
with
know
the
in-
tape, you know, they
we'll know in a
cover
second.
these with tape. Everybody does it because you can't see how much
Trick
is
you.
in there.
Optical.
But I'm sure that there's enough in here for probably, I'm going to guess, two applications of a, ooh, it came out real easy. A little too much. Wow. Put the cap back on that.
in the drawer.
All this thermal compound is about the same. I wouldn't recommend anybody waste their money on expensive thermal compounds. They don't typically make any difference whatsoever, unless you are an extreme overclocker. But then you wouldn't be here watching my channel, because you'd be far more fancy than me and very much impractical.
Boy, that was a lot, yeah.
Yeah, so I just use a clean finger and it'll come off on the, because you don't want to take off too much. And you'll see I'm tapping it because I like to create little hills and valleys so that it'll still squish down and avoid air bubbles. Oh, I didn't even use my first finger. Well, you know what? I'm going to just, that's plenty. It's plenty.
Now you got to take that fan off.
That is correct.
But that's easy peasy.
Oh, yeah. So I'm really liking this so far. We're off to a very good start here. You know, I've seen some coolers that have been sent to me by manufacturers that it seems like the manufacturers that have the good coolers aren't sending them for free. But this is, I'm impressed so far. I wasn't expecting it to be this nice. That's the great thing when you have low expectations. It's much easier to be
So right on the nubbins.
happy. Yeah, so we're going to put this on in this direction, right? Actually, I'm going to turn it this, wait a minute. Why is the fan cable coming out of this side? It's an interesting choice. Well, we definitely want this side. That's fine. We want this fan facing the RAM. Now, if I set this down, I can already see a problem.
Okay.
And that is, we're going to have trouble. It's going to oversee, see, it's going to go over the RAM. What's the point of having RGB RAM?
Right.
What if we turned it around? If we turn it around, we got the airflow moving in the wrong direction.
And will it fit that way? Yeah, I guess if you move this fan over.
You see it's got cutouts for RAM on each side.
Ah,
They
gotcha.
want you to use this side towards the RAM, but I disagree.
Okay.
We can change the rotation, we can change the location of these fans.
Fans.
We can put this fan on this side, and it's going to work just as well. These towers are both exactly the same,
Okay.
and then you'll be able to see our RAM. So this is backwards. DeepCool, this is backwards. This fan needs to go on this side, and the cable should come out towards the edge of the board, the power cable, where it's going to plug in so you're not wrapping the cable around or running it underneath. And also, you don't want to cover up RAM. You've got an RGB case. You're going to have RGB RAM. Why would you cover the RGB RAM? This is a very minor little thing that they can change at the factory. There's no retooling. It's just how they're putting it together.
And where is our CPU fan header? Is it down
The
along
CPU
here?
fan headers, there's two of them right here, right beside the RAM sockets.
Okay.
Way over
Over
there.
here. Okay. Right here. Okay. Two of them. Gotcha.
And I don't care if I have to run this cable
Right.
over here. No one's
Okay.
going to see that. But I
Gotcha.
don't want to run it underneath if I can avoid it. And
So you'll need
we just need to rotate the fans the
fans.
other way. Well, no, hold on a minute. I just realized something.
Okay.
These are the same thickness on both sides. The minute I move this fan to this side, I'm right back in the same position. Damn it.
Never mind.
I felt so
All right.
smart. I felt
Yeah.
smart there for a minute.
Don't let it go to your head.
Yeah, too late. So unfortunately, that isn't going to work. So do we want to put RGB RAM in this after all? It seems like a waste.
No.
So I had this really nice G-Skill Trident Z Royal RAM that I was going to use. Really beautiful RAM. This is very expensive RAM. You're paying for that RGB, you know. And as you can see, by putting this heatsink in, we'd be covering this RAM. You wouldn't be able to see it.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to waste money by putting in RAM that's expensive for visual aesthetic, because it's a RGB case with a glass panel intended to show off the insides, and they blacken the top in order to not have this giant heatsink stand out. But in doing so, they're covering up the RAM.
Okay.
And this is a problem with any dual fan heatsink design. I would much prefer if DeepCool has a single cooler similar to the Scythe Mugen 5 or the Hyper 212 Evo from Cooler Master, or the Knoxville U12S back before when they made it with a pre-assembled bracket. You don't see me use these twin designs, and the reason is when I ship these tend to bend in shipping, and it doesn't necessarily damage anything, but it'll arrive almost like a V-shape to many customers, and you have to sort of bend it back. Now, if that happens often enough, it'll simply just break.
Well, I know you've got other RAM in stock, so
Yeah,
did you want to go ahead and just secure this down?
Not yet. I want to put the RAM in because otherwise the RAM is going to be underneath the fan. I guess it doesn't matter because we're going to have the fan off anyway to install it. But let me take a look at what we have here.
Oh, let's see. This side does
And it's
not
going to have to be
open.
low profile RAM too.
So I will open all four, even though we're probably only going to use 2 sticks.
What does this say? I don't have my glasses.
Glasses. This is DDR4 Vulkan, and this is
Show it to the camera.
This is 2 16 gigabyte sticks, so this is 32 gig. So you want to use them?
Absolutely. That'll be perfect for this build. I'll grab my razor and we'll cut it open. Don't think I won't cut you. Now, Gigabyte doesn't really show a preference for which module you start with.
Okay.
Some motherboards do have recommendations, but whatever socket, we want to skip one.
Okay.
This RAM will only go in one direction,
With the notch.
which should be, is it this way? Here's one. I like to get the one closest to the CPU out of the way so that later on, if you want to add another 32 gigs, do this one for the camera. Slide it in gently. Don't use any force. Once it's in correctly, then we'll push down with one thumb, then the other thumb. You should hear it click, and then I'll close up these other brackets just so they don't snag on any cables or anything later on. Oh, these brackets don't even open. Okay, so that one's good. Now, I've already made contact with the thermal compound under this, but it's fine when we turn it around. Everything's still going to be okay. You'll see you do have some thermal compound down here. We still have plenty on the CPU. And I need to take, well, I guess I don't have to take this fan off anymore. I'm going to take it off anyway. You know what? Let's just take it off, because I'm going to make some modifications to how this comes out of the factory. Now I will set this down. And of course, they've given us the blister maker, and I want you to see, look at how much clearance you have here.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an easy way to get your fingers cut up on these. These are sharp. They will cut you. That absolutely, I would rather, DeepCool, I would rather you gave us nothing than gave us this. This can hurt people. So I'm going to use their competitor's driver. This is from Scythe. And look, I'm not doing it because Scythe is paying me, or Scythe doesn't really even know who I am. I'm doing it because I know this driver is long enough. It's got a magnetic tip, which apparently this Allen wrench design does not have.
These are spring-loaded screws, though, so you may have to use a little force.
Correct. Yeah, and we want to just get them started initially. If you tighten one before the other, it makes it very hard to start the other screw, and then you may not have a complete flat connection from the base to the top of the CPU, meaning that your temps are going to run high and you're not going to understand why, because to the naked eye it looks flat. But you've seen me take off like a liquid pump where the thermal compound was undisturbed. It's like, yeah, that wasn't touching, but you wouldn't have known until you took it off and inspected it. And then those just tighten up. You don't have to over tighten those. Those are just nice and tight. Just a shame that I have to provide my own driver at this price point. Now, when it comes to the fans, both fans are the same. Same size, same design. What we want is we want the power cable to come out this way. So these brackets have to be moved. These brackets simply slide out. And what I want to do is turn them this way. And in doing that, remember this logo is going to spin. We're not even going to see anything, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, interestingly enough, that does keep that upright. So I would say DeepCool is turning the fans at an awkward angle when the fan is designed with that label upright, which brings the power cable out in the right position. So there, not wrong about that one. Just wait, I'm not done yet. It still might be. Let's find out if there's any otherwise unobvious reason. And we'll slide this down. Now you can see how far down that'll go. And if you want to put it there, you can. I would raise it up so that it's not touching anything, have it sort of floating. And I would bring it right to the base of where this plastic is. And then this cable here, I'm going to remove the, sorry, I'm on the wrong side for the camera. Take that off. There you go, present. Got you a tie for Father's Day.
I'm not even a father. All
Now,
right.
you're supposed to keep these on, but they just make cable management difficult, so I'm just peel that off. You sticking with that story that you're not a father? Just because Father's Day went by and you didn't get any card in the mail? Now, I'm not going to cable manage this just yet. I'm just going to take this first one and plug it in. Doesn't matter, they're both the same, so I want to get this one. If I plug this one in first, it's going to be really hard to get to the back one. So we'll do the back one first. And then I need to change these brackets on this fan just the same way for the same reason. Now, I suppose if you really wanted to, now that I'm looking at this aesthetically, I don't like how the top of the fan dips down. This should be all smooth and flat. Again, it doesn't really have much to do with the cooler's performance. It's more about looks. Does that seem flat to you?
Yeah, right there.
Perfect. You see how easy that is to adjust?
Beautiful.
And it's just an aesthetic. That's all it is. Is that in right? And then we'll do the same thing here, where we put the brackets on 90 degrees from how they installed them. And again, we want to direct airflow blowing this way,
Out of the case.
out towards the I/O shield, where there is a fan in the case already in the same orientation. So that just helps move that air in that single direction.
There's three fans on the front.
On the front, those are bringing air into
Yeah.
the case. Those are on this side.
Side.
I'm talking about the back
Oh,
of the case
yeah.
where there's one fan. Because that one fan is going to be right here.
Ah,
So now we'll take this, and in a similar way, we'll line up the top for aesthetic reasons. Go ahead and put your finger up there and tell me when it's smooth.
no.
And I just pull back on those metal brackets, and it locks in into the edges of the radiator.
Okay.
Make sure that it's straight. This feels it's down one. Let me lift it up. Now that's the same. That one's down one too. I must be shorter. I must have one leg shorter than the other, Midge.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's smooth. Again, that's aesthetics, right? But it looks better. It's the word aesthetics. Might have over-explained that. I carry-explained that. Now we're going to put this little wire on right here. Like so, and then we'll cable manage that in a minute. But right now, we need to check and see if this thing even boots. It's a brand new motherboard. I've not tested it before. So we're gonna need a power supply and a power switch.
Okay.
And some cables, and we'll see if this bad boy will fire up.
Smoke.
Yeah, let me see that container.
Smoke test. Which one did you want to use? This one or this one? This one or
The one where the cables are already untied. Yeah. And I've got this handy dandy little power switch here that'll plug in right here. You know, I keep fighting wearing these glasses, and I'm losing the fight, Mitch.
Yeah. How about the nice contacts?
Yeah, I stopped doing that because of the pandemic, but it might be time to revisit that, maybe in another month or two. I should have an eye exam due next month. Thank you. I want people to be able to see.
Till it clicks.
Mm-hmm. What am I doing? That's not the right one.
CPU, not PCI.
There it is. It was hiding from me. That one just goes on right back here. Just like that. Okay, so then we just need a keyboard, mouse, and plug in the monitor and some power. We'll make sure the switch is in the off position, and it is. Let me get that. I'll get it. You go back over there. I don't want you
Twisting.
bending and twisting and aggravating an injury. You do that on your own time,
Okay.
buddy. All right, but I'll give you that. And then we've got the HDMI cable. That'll go right here. And then we have the keyboard and mouse over here that we use.
Smoke test, people. Is it going to work?
This is it. There's
I
the
think it's
keyboard.
gonna. I think it's
I've
going to
already
work.
Turned it on. And then the dongle. We'll turn that on. And we'll just plug the dongle in right over here. Okay, that's it, folks. And then after that, if this all boots up, I can throw Windows 10 on it. Then we can put it in the case, and the build will be done.
We give the cameraman a
pretty
break. Switch to
Yeah.
the main camera.
Yeah, we'll go back to camera one here. Thank you, cameraman.
You're welcome.
That didn't sound like a man at all.
Smoke test. Love it. Love it.
Get the fire extinguisher handy?
Yeah.
All right, so this should do an adequate job of cooling now that I see how big this cooler is. I'm sure it'll be interesting to see what Prime 95 does with this 9900 KS, which are really known for running very hot. So go ahead and flip the switch on the power supply for me.
You going to put us in the corner?
I'm going to put us in a corner here, and let's see.
Power switch.
Let's go right
On.
over there for now. All right, buddy.
Okay.
Hit the blue button. Here he goes. This is it. There it is. Fans are turning. Lights are blinking on the diagnostic LEDs.
Pretty blue light.
It's like 15 bucks for that thing at Amazon. And let's see if we
Fingers
get a post
crossed.
screen.
Okay.
Remember, it's going to take a minute on that first boot for it to train the CPU and RAM. So it may shut off and back on again, which is just what it did.
Okay.
Nothing's wrong. And into the BIOS.
Shazam!
All right, let me get rid of us for a second so
Okay.
I can see
See what's
what
going on.
version of BIOS we have, because there's probably a newer version since I've had this board for a few months. So according to the screen, we've got BIOS version 1903 from July. And so let's go to Gigabyte. This is a Z390 Gaming X. See if I can share that with people. And we'll go, we don't want this support up here. This is for like Gigabyte support in general.
Mm.
And ASRock, MSI, and Asus do all this same exact way. We go down there to this support, which is for this product. Clicky, clicky. And then that's going to take us over here to downloads. Scroll down. BIOS. You see there's 8 BIOSes. We only need the latest one, which is F10. We'll download that. And then I'll extract the zip file. And all I want out of the zip file is the .f10 file. In other words, the extension is the version. It's also the biggest file. And I'm going to just copy that. And I realize they're just looking at the Gigabyte page. But what I'm doing off camera, or it's technically it's on camera. Let's see if I can show everybody. We'll close that one and turn this one back on. So many camera inputs.
Yeah.
And we'll go full screen on that. Or we won't. There we are. I'm going to grab my BIOS flash drive and put it into the streamer. And then I will paste that file that we just downloaded onto an otherwise empty and small flash drive. This is just a 2 gig flash drive, which is ideal, especially with older motherboards. Some flash drives are too big for older motherboards to recognize them, and you'll go, oh, I can't get this to work. It's always good to have those small flash drives around. And well, I don't need to unplug it, and just pull it out. Then we'll plug it in over here.
I must say, these 2 fans are just dead quiet.
They are quiet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll go back over to the BIOS screen. And we'll go to let's see, tool up here.
Yep.
Easy flash utility right there. Via storage. Next.
Oh, you can do it via the internet too. Very nice.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I always, you know, some boards have it, some boards don't. So I just default to what I know is going to work, regardless. Why is it not appearing though? It sees the storage device, but it doesn't see the file. That's a new one. That usually means I didn't copy the right file, but just to be sure, I'm going to exit this. I want at least, I'm going to plug the internet into it and try using the internet.
Okay.
Rather than trying to figure out what I did wrong, which I'm sure is something simple, since you happen to notice there's an internet option, we'll plug the internet in. I'm going to unplug this flash drive and give the internet a minute.
And we'll try this via the internet.
I want to take a look at this while we're waiting.
Okay.
It's there.
It's there, yeah.
I don't know what the problem is. Okay, that's fine. Set that aside. And we'll do this again. Easy Flash utility via the internet. Updating the BIOS via the internet enables the network-related items, then reboots the system automatically. Continue.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, now we sit and wait. It's important to keep hands off of the keyboard and the mouse. Don't be impatient. Let it do what it needs to do. This could take up to 10 minutes.
I hope not. All right.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. No touchy.
No touching at this point. You'll see it stays at this no signal screen as it makes changes to the BIOS, reboots with those changes. And then it should give us a screen here in just a moment. There it is. And you know, it says press delete or F2. You don't want to do any of that. So apparently we have to tell it again, which is disappointing because it made it out like it was just going to do this. But all it apparently did was enabled all the network features.
Okay.
In the BIOS. Normally those are off in the BIOS. So we'll do this again via internet. Click next. We want DHCP, which means the IP address is going to be assigned by your router, which is typically how 99% of people at home have it configured. Now, here's the problem I have with updating the BIOS with the internet. It says our BIOS version is already up to date. I can see the mistake I made. This says model ROG Strix Z390E Gaming. That's Asus. Oh, wait a minute. What motherboard?
It's not the box. It's the
Did we ever take the new board out of the box? We never changed the motherboard.
live and unscripted.
Oh my gosh. So this is Madi's original motherboard. This is what's happening here. Here we go. What's happened is when Remus Computer Solutions, you know, we worked out a deal and they built the machine for Madi. And he likes he overclocks for his customers. And so the brackets, the little retention levers for the video card had broken off in shipping. And we don't know if the video card's bad or if the slot is bad. And so I just didn't want to trust this board. And so what I did is I took out the Gigabyte board here, but I never took it out of the box. And so you would clean the CPU, and then we were like, okay, let's go ahead and put the storage on and put the cooler on, but we never took the CPU out and put it into the motherboard that's brand new on the box it's sitting on. It's sort of I always tell people, take your time and enjoy your build, because you know, when you rush through it, you're just really going to want to do it again.
But it's good to know that this is a functioning, working board.
Well, we
correct?
don't know that.
We don't know that? Yeah.
I mean, the concern is, yes, if we don't want to run onboard video, we know that that's okay. However, if we want to run a discrete graphics card, the little clips are broken off. So there's nothing to really hold the card in place. As a result, and this is what happens if you ship a computer and you don't pack it properly, or even you can pack it properly and still have issues. The graphics card, these big expensive graphics cards, are so heavy that they can damage the slot. If the slot is damaged, because we're running into weird problems where the video card was causing lockups. And I assume it's a bad video card.
Okay.
But the only way I'm going to know for sure is to move the CPU into the other board. And then when it's all built, I can put Madi's graphics card back in there and test it again. And if the graphics card continues to exhibit that behavior, I know for a fact it needs to go back to EVGA. Now, interestingly, I sent and opened a support ticket to EVGA 4 days ago, and I have not heard back from them. And this is very unusual. They do have an 800 number that I will call. However, if it turns out the card is okay, I won't even care, right? But if it turns out the card is bad, which I think it is, this amount of delay is not normal. Like, one of the reasons I like EVGA so much is how quick they are. And I understand with the pandemic, things have really slowed down. So I'll give them a little leeway on that, but this is a number of business days. I should have gotten a response. So let's take a look in the chat room at how many people saw that long before I did. I'm sure they're in there. Whoa, look at that chat room moving.
And you're sure there's a board in this box? Hello, board?
Yeah, it's a brand new
hello,
board. It's a brand new board.
Yes,
I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't, you know, again, when you build 20, 30,000 computers, all those little details, it's all well and good when you're building one and you can focus on all that little stuff. When you're building thousands, it's sort of, I don't know, you see it, but you don't see it. You know what I mean? You're trying to move quickly and you're trying to get through it, and that's when mistakes are made. This isn't a mistake a new builder would make. This is a mistake only an experienced builder would make. So like when somebody jumps out of an airplane and you hear that their parachute didn't open, that's not a first-time jumper. That's somebody who has jumped so many times, they just got too confident and didn't pack their chute properly or didn't double-check it properly. Nearly every time you hear about that, that's an experienced jumper who just had too much confidence. So my issue was too much confidence. It's not devastating. So what? Who cares? Now, we could, out of curiosity, run Prime 95 on it. However, it's just going to delay our build, because at the end of the day, what really matters is how it runs on the Gigabyte board. Lance says that's part of what the human brain does. It filters out info it's already processed. In this case, thinking you had the right board. I just forgot to change the board, is what I did. The board was here and ready to go, but I should have set the board off to the side. Because I put the motherboard on top of the box, which is what I always do, I assumed it was an empty box. I mean, I didn't assume it. It's just that's their normal protocol. But it's easy to switch this out. This will just take a minute to switch it out. It's not a big deal. And we do know the board works. I mean, but we knew that when we took it out of Monty's case. The problem was these little bracket. You see, there's a bracket right there, lever.
Yep.
It's broken off here and it's broken off there.
Yep.
And if it broke off, it may have damaged the slot. Now, if it damaged the slot, which is what I'm hoping, his graphics card is fine. Because getting a different board is way easier than getting a different graphics card, especially at that price. That's a $1,200 graphics card when we bought it back in February of 2020. So it's just about 2 years old. Mats Olaf says, now you have a contribution from me via PayPal. Let me check. Go ahead and tap the power button for me on that, and let's see if it shuts off. That's the blue button.
Vital Visions, blame Mitch. Okay.
Yeah.
If it makes you feel better.
You received $10.72 from Dan Nilsson. Thank you, Dan. And Mats Olaf with $20. He says, thank you for your latest live video where you tell about your life so far. It's very nice to listen to. Thank you. More such videos, and thanks for this evening, too. Mats Olaf, thank you. Matt's been contributing for a couple of years now. I think Mats watches us from Norway. Is that right? So it's just awesome to have viewers all over.
I pressed it once. Did you have to press and hold?
Press and hold because we're not in Windows, yeah. Press and hold the blue button for about 10 seconds or until you see this light go off. There you go. That was only about 3 seconds, wasn't it? Yeah. Now, what we can do is just take this back apart, and if you want, I'll just take care of this because I can do it pretty quickly. What do you think?
You watch how fast we can do.
I'll take care of it.
Okay.
All right, so the first thing is we're going to pull the power plug. We'll put that over there. And then I'm going to remove this piece because we're not going to need this for a couple of minutes. Start your stopwatch.
Yeah.
Because I want to demonstrate. A lot of people think it takes me forever to build a computer, but I just like hanging out. I like pacing myself. If I know I've got a 4-hour show to fill, then I somehow magically get it done in 4 hours. If I've got a 3-hour show to do, I somehow get it done in 3 hours. I pace myself. So if I am free to just work at any level I want, if I'm told you have 20 minutes, it'll somehow get done in 20 minutes. That's just the way I am.
I think I need a drink. All right.
All right.
Ooh, may I have a Fiji? Very nice.
Of course. Anything you want in there.
Look at him move, Chad. Just like grease lightning.
That's for all the fatty foods I eat.
Yeah.
All the deep fried foods.
I want to take that dongle out, yeah. So you don't think you look good in glasses? Very scholarly.
I don't think glasses were ever supposed to be a fashion statement.
You think
they were
I like
a
'em?
medical device. Yeah,
I'm
but you don't
old.
have a choice.
Right.
I
My eyes aren't marbles anymore. They're like footballs.
I was born with good genetics, not for height or attitude, but for health anyway, so far. No allergies. Never had allergies until I think I just started getting allergies about 2 or 3 years ago, but I never had them. I've never had any medical condition that wasn't self-induced, like a broken wrist from playing football or, pneumonia, something like that. Not that pneumonia was self-induced, but just, how can you avoid getting a cold? You know what I mean? But nothing where genetically. You know what you can do for me, though, is you can clean the bottom. Would you grab a paper towel? We're going to wipe off the thermal compound. It's a good thing they give us extra, because we're going to need it. We're just testing the audience to see if they're paying attention.
2 monkeys building a computer. All right. Ooh, a lot of paste. Boy, I sure don't want to.
Orangutans are not monkeys.
Yeah, I sure don't want to get any of that schmutz on my hand. No, thank you.
Yeah, it's hard to get off. And then we also need the CPU to be wiped down as well. You can use that. You don't have to, wipe it completely, just as much as you can utilize that. Trying to make the most of my half a penny's worth of paper towel. He's so cheap. Thank you, Mitch. If there are 2 monkeys building a computer, then where is the monkey wrench? You don't want us to run tools. It'll be like the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey with the bone. Learn how to murder each other with it.
I just assumed that you knew that was Marty's board.
No, what do you think I brought the other board out for? You should have said something. I'm blaming you. It's Marty's fault. Have I taught you nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've taught you nothing? Or no, I've taught you nothing. Really should have thought about the way I phrased that question.
Yeah.
I want to get my little suction cups out for this.
Will they work with the schmutz?
Oh, yeah. Just watch.
Very nice. Okay.
Now, I do have the little plastic covers. Oh, you know what? I'll just use the one off the Gigabyte board. Okay. So I didn't want to use this motherboard. Are we clear about that?
Okay.
How long did it take me to pull all that apart? Was that like 6 minutes? Just set that down. Brand new. This is what we were supposed to do much earlier. Okay. into there.
Scissors. How's that sound, Jay? Scissors.
Oh, it's really raining out here.
Yeah.
Oh, I have scissors in here. There they are. Jeez, you murdered this thing.
Crinkle, crinkle. Okay.
Bob Connors with $15. He says, once again, here's my late fee. Hello, Carrie and Mitch and all the Blue Mod crew. Happy Friday. You missed nothing, Bob. You joined us just in time. The video's just starting. We're going to go with that.
Yeah, that works.
Oh, and we have a nice heat shield that the heatsink's going to, that the M.2 drive will go under. It's a better board. Even metal reinforced dim sockets.
Okay.
We got the little plastic here on the I.O. shield. Asking if we want to do close-ups. I don't think so. We'll do this in a wide shot. You guys have already seen the close-up version.
The chip. His glasses. All right.
Looked a little funny to me. Okay, this one we can put on here now.
Rubbing alcohol. Q-tips.
There we go. Let me get this out of my face because I don't want to look at it again.
Okay.
Made me look like a fool. I'm blaming the motherboard now.
Okay.
Put that over there.
Cleaning that CPU.
What did I do with that? I had a label for that, so I identify. Oh, here it is. See here? This is how I keep things together. That's going to go on that board. So, in this stack of boards I have back here, I know whose belongs to whose.
Later at the bar tonight, someone will go, Mitch, how was your day? Well, I was cleaning schmutz off CPUs.
Hey, if you're working with Kerry Holzman,
What do you think of that? What do you think of that?
you better be an excellent schmutz cleaner.
Okay.
You're going to be neck deep in schmutz.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I can see the writing, kinda.
Here, give me the dirty Q-tips.
And then you don't have to clean that.
No,
'cause
you
it's
do.
gonna-
It has to be cleaned.
Okay.
Yep. Well, listen, it doesn't have to be. But if you want the best possible thermal conductivity, then the surfaces need to be completely clear.
Oh, aren't you using big words? All right, let's see.
Were they big words?
Yeah. Conductivity.
I would say
I'm
they
quite-
were more like enormous or
quite-
gigantic.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed.
See, those are bigger words.
You graduated from the 3rd grade? All right, yeah.
Remember I told you I had a little flash drive for you?
Yeah. Jeez.
Mitch has a MP3 player in his car, and his flash drive took a dump. And I said, oh, you need one like this. They don't make these anymore. This was from Silicon Power. I bought a bunch of them. It's going to focus. And the back of it, you see that little metal circle back there? That's a little magnet, so it'll stick. Oh, that's not metal.
Here, the plate in my head. All right.
Anyway, take that home with you.
Okay.
Put your music on it. And
2 gigabytes?
this is 16 gigs. That should hold
That should hold a lot of MP3s.
a lot of Toto.
Because unfortunately, my Subaru Forester won't accept FLAC files or Apple lossless, only MP3s, 320 quality, but they still sound good. How's that, boss? Clean as a hound's tooth. Kinda, yeah? Good enough? Not really? No.
I don't know how I could have gotten the board wrong. What's in this drink? It's excellent liqueur. Ooh, my insides feel so clean. Don't ever drink that.
That. Smell it.
If you want to buy Everclear, buy Everclear.
It is pretty close. pretty close bottle.
Yeah. They're both pure. Mm-hmm. Okay. Sorry, there was a disruption in my productivity. I was showing how fast I could do this, and you tricked me. Took Mitch as long to clean that as it took me to break it all apart.
We gotta get the back plate off the other board.
I already did it.
Oh.
See, I did it so quick, you didn't even see me do it.
Is there thermal doodads on that? Yeah.
Thermal doodads?
Thermal sticky tape, yeah.
All right. So we've got the little bag with the standoff and the M.2 screw that we have to put in. So back to the scissors. There's nothing I like more than doing the same job twice. But that's just like my most favorite thing to do in the world.
Double your pleasure, double your fun.
Building
two computers is better than one.
This DeepCool build is so nice, I wanted to do it twice. That is a dated reference. What was that for? Wrigley's Double Mint?
Double Mint gum. I'm old, leave me alone.
Wasn't that from Wrigley, or was that?
Yeah, Wrigley. Mm-hmm.
That screwdriver doesn't fit.
They would have twins in the commercial. Identical twins.
I wanted to be in that commercial, but I wasn't born a twin. Still, I've never forgiven my parents for that. Why did you do this to me? You didn't ask to be born.
Because one of you was plenty.
They told me if there were two of me, the world would have imploded. When I was born, the doctor slapped my mother.
Yeah.
Okay, now I can peel that off. It got real quiet in here.
Yeah. I was just thinking about your mistake.
Well, think about that one mistake.
Yeah.
You know, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning. Okay, so that takes care of everything. Now I want to just double check our fitment of the cooler. We're going to put the brackets on. We're in the same situation here where it's going to have to go on this way, and it's going to cover the RAM. I was kind of curious if maybe Gigabyte pushed the RAM further away, but that's going to be a universal problem. Yep. So we're still going to stick with the same non-RGB RAM for that reason. So other than that, how did you enjoy the play, Mrs. Lincoln?
I didn't see a play, but I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife this week in my screening room, and I want my 90 minutes of my life back.
Was it really bad? Okay, compared to the all-female Ghostbusters, which one was worse?
This one.
This one was worse than the all-female one?
Yeah, because the gals know how to riff and kind of bounce off each other, and I could sense some of that, not all of it, but some of it was ad lib because they're that talented that they can see whether they can crack each other up. And
well, I think they come from
improv.
Yeah, improv schools, right?
So that was, yeah. I give it a big thumbs down.
The reason I like the all-female Ghostbusters was two reasons. One, it had Kate McKinnon in it.
Mm-hmm.
And two, the character she plays,
right,
Holtzman.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. With a T in it. It's like in Dune, in the movie, well, in the book Dune, the reason that the navigators can fold space is due to the Holtzman effect. And that is spelled correctly.
Mm.
So I have to like it.
Well, and for Kate to go kind of head-to-head with...
well, first of all, Kate's hilarious. And secondly...
To go head-to-head with Melissa, too. I mean,
Kate's funnier than Melissa. Sorry, but Melissa's more slapstick, and Kate's more pulling faces.
Right.
And I have to say that Holtzman's not a common name. You don't see it too often. So I was tickled. So therefore, that movie was okay by me, even though it wasn't very good. And I don't know where all the money came from that they financed everything, in that movie. Pitch Meeting did a great little story on that. In fact, Pitch Meeting did a great one on the new Ghostbusters too. So I kind of got the spoiler alerts on it.
But you haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen it. No, I'm had more important things to do, like stare at a wall.
Yeah.
More entertaining things to do. I'd love to see the Ghostbusters back again. I guess they bring them back, right? At the very end. Isn't that the big deal?
No spoilers.
Is that a spoiler? To me, it would be the reason to go see it. If you don't tell me they're in it, I don't want to see it. If you tell me they're going to be in it, then I want to see it. So I don't know that that's so much a spoiler as a reason to go see it. See what I'm saying?
Yep.
I'm not going to tell you what happens to them because I don't know. I haven't seen it. Okay, back to the white glove, my friend, and the thermal paste.
And Chad, I really want to see a movie that I think opened around Christmas in L.A., but it hasn't come to Phoenix yet, I don't think, called Licorice Pizza. Heard a lot of good things about that.
Sounds disgusting. What did we do with
Or are we going to, right here, same one? Yeah, let's try it to see.
Yeah, let's see how much is left in here. I said there should be at least 2 applications. Let's see if I'm right or wrong. Oh yeah, might even be 3 applications in there. It gave us a nice full tube. Thank you, DeepCool. We appreciate that. You saw the new Spider-Man too, didn't you?
I did.
And you didn't like that one either?
It was okay. It was okay.
We're seeing in a theater, or that would have been
We're seeing in a theater. I liked it better, the new Spider-Man movie. I liked it better than Dune, but again, I never read the book, and I don't think I've even seen the whole David Lynch one all that much, but to see it in IMAX, Dune in IMAX, I mean, that was breathtaking.
Sure.
Because,
the cinematography and
that giant screen.
Yeah, so these appear to be equal. I don't know why there's tape on here, though. There's a piece of tape that says 1990. I don't know why it's there.
Leave it on.
Yeah. Well, it's not easily peeling off, so don't really have a choice. Okay, that's back on. We can put the RAM back in. Feels good. Feels good. Feels good. We're going to use I normally use the black slots. Well, I'm going to use the black slots. They're the reinforced ones. That's the ones Gigabyte clearly wants us to use first, even though adding RAM to this by doing that is going to make it more difficult. Either way, I think the fan's going to have to come off regardless of which slot we use now that I really think about it. So those are going to go in like so, right? So you guys can see it, and so we just got done.
32 gig. We'll put the fans back
Yeah,
on.
we'll put the fans back on now, so they're already prepped and ready to go. I'm going to guesstimate where it needs to be.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, no?
Yeah. No. I'll hold it.
Okay, how's that? Boy, those don't sit in very well. Okay, let me just double check this one. Yep. And then I'm going to plug that in. Oh, wait, this only has one CPU fan header. I thought this one had 2 as well. I Guess we're going to use this splitter after all, because we want those CPU fans to run at the same speed anyway, so it's fine.
What does this board go for? Any idea?
Good luck finding one. They're just not available anymore. I'm going to guess, if I recall, somewhere around $160 back when they were available. Okay, so we're going to have some cable management to do here.
Okay.
And then finally, we'll put this last fan on, and then we'll fire it up. And it'll be time for your favorite part, Mitch, the smoke test. Hey, the good news is I already have the latest BIOS downloaded and ready to go.
Ah. And I've got
See how
the
efficient I am?
nice Fiji water standing by. Okay.
Hey, they're not paying us. Stop promoting them. Okay. Power supply. Now this one has an additional 4-pin along with the 8-pin, which is used when overclocking if you're trying to push more voltage through, which generates a lot more heat. It's not very ecologically friendly. It's going to create more noise from the cooler. So we're not using that. It's more cable management, and this power supply doesn't offer us a second. You know, interestingly, that Ares game, Cheap Power Supply, did offer us one, 2 of them for just such a case, which isn't the power supply you'd want to use for overclocking. But you could, if you were determined, to give you the connector. All right, so now we're back to power switch. I'm going to step around, and that's going to go right here.
Want me to put in the dongle?
Yeah. Uh-oh, it's not going. What's the problem here? Interesting. I'm gonna have to drill another hole in this my little Q adapter. I've had to drill little holes in it to make up for some motherboard connectors. So in order for that to fit, I'll have to get my drill and drill it out. But I'll do that another day. I'll take my other switch. I got just a switch right here. Got this one on Amazon too. It's a little switch with a little LED around it. And we can hook up the LED, make it look pretty. So power switch goes here, and the LED goes like that. LED is optional. And then we need
Power.
HDMI. You've already got the keyboard dongle in there. This one will go right here. And then power, which is right over here. Thought it was on your side. There we go. Flip the switch on. You see that the RGB on the board lights up, even though the board has not been turned on. This is an important thing for you to keep in mind. I just knocked that over. I have some computers that are in process of being built that are off camera on the floor. I'm trying to step around them. All right, I'm going to tap the power button. You'll see that the power light changes colors. Ooh, fans are spinning, all the lights are on. Let's go over to the HDMI input, and hopefully we get a post on this. Give it just a second.
They said you did that in 23 minutes. I'm quite impressed.
Yeah, should have been 18 minutes. Disappointed. It was the 5 minutes you took to clean it.
Okay.
I'm blaming you again.
All right.
I mean, imagine if I was rushing.
Or taking
Fastest I built was 6 minutes.
No way.
It was a bare bones system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a trophy for it. I lost by like 3/4 of a second. Someone beat me by, but they technically didn't win because they didn't put the side panels back on, and they said the side panels had to be back on. He hit the power button and then put his side panels on. You were supposed to, according to the rules,
Put this on.
not hit the power button until the side panels.
What's our BIOS? Version 9, sir.
So we're on version 10 now. So I'm going to take the flash drive, which has our file. Remember when the BIOS wasn't seen and I was puzzled why? Because it was for the wrong board. That all makes sense now, right? I told you it was something simple. And I'm something simple. So there you go. We're going to go back so I can see this full screen. And yeah, this is Gigabyte instead of Asus. That makes more sense. QFlash is F8, or just click it, update.
There it is.
And we're off to the races. Oh, I'll also update the backup BIOS. Now it's hands off, let it be.
Yep.
And while that's doing that, I can put us in a corner and I can pay attention to the chat room again since I'm not so driven. Let's see. Jason Wyrick said he liked the new Spider-Man. Look at it, I did it so fast people didn't see me do the M.2, the RAM. That's how fast I was. You blinked.
Just a blur.
You blinked. What's funny is they can rewind the video. And I don't know why they don't do that. This video is completely rewindable while it's live. You guys can go back and see what you missed. Frank M says, Planet Cryos will edit out the beginning of the live stream. I like to leave it in there.
Yeah.
Why should we hide our mistake? Why is that considered?
Yeah, live and unscripted.
What is the issue with people's pride and egos that they... I suppose on one hand, someone might feel it wasted their time. Well, how do you think I feel? Bob says, is this a build or an unbuild? Yes.
A little of both.
Jason Mirabal contributed $5. He says, hi, Carrie, $1,200 graphics card. Good golly, Miss Molly, with my $5 contribution, the card now costs a low price of $11.95. Well, that was 2 years ago when it was purchased, and $1,200 2 years ago was pretty expensive, I can assure you. John Gardner says, don't feel bad, Carrie. I did that once. Of course, I'll be 70 this month on the 27th. See? Told you I was very mature for my age. Chevy with a $2 contribution says, thanks for your time. Marty's like, what are you giving Carrie the $5? It was my $1,200. It's my card.
It's Marty's card.
Yeah. He's not lying. All right, we're just about done with that BIOS update. It's going to reboot itself automatically. We're hands off, as I mentioned before, when you're updating a BIOS. Don't touch anything. Once you set it to begin, it will let you know when it's done. Oh, you can kind of hear the fans a little there.
Ramped up.
That must be
bit.
full speed. And then they're now quiet again. Well, then they ramped up and quieted down again. And this is normal. A BIOS might need to reboot the motherboard 2-3 times. So again, hands off until it's obvious it's done. which means it'll boot back into Windows, or in this case, take us back into the BIOS, or tell us there's no bootable device found. So you saw the post screen momentarily, and then it went away. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And there's one of the reboots. Doing something. Fans are cranking away. It's taking a long time. Don't panic. Everything is normal. Demanding, isn't it? Does feel like something's wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah, there are people that say, you know, I built it wrong or whatever, and you're steady now. Just give it, you know, take it easy.
This is how people screw their machines up, is through their own impatience. They often create problems. And I'm not going to tell you this machine is going to reboot, but it probably will if you just give it enough time.
We got our little power thing flashing. That's good.
Well, that just means it's turned on.
Thomas says, is the M.2 drive installed? Yes, I watched him install it.
All you gotta do is rewind the video, folks.
And play and pull
Just
the...
rewind the video. There's a heat sink I put on top of it. It wasn't like it happened in 2 seconds.
And
Duncan, he says this is a long time. It is a very long time. Absolutely.
And the RAM looks to be seated properly.
Well, we know it's seated because it booted already.
Yeah.
So this amount of time is a little worrisome, though, isn't it? It's almost like it's trying to boot, the way the cursor is flashing up in the top left corner, and I'm reluctant to shut it off. I still want to give it a little bit more time. I mean, the flash drive is not flashing. That's why I use a flash drive with an LED, so it helps me to determine if anything's locked up or frozen. And this amount of time is starting to be a little bit worrisome. I'm going to give it just a little bit longer.
Now, do you think that it started the BIOS update when you clicked on the backup BIOS?
No.
So you don't think that was running and you clicked on the backup the BIOS, so then it corrupted the thing, or no? I mean...
No, again, people can rewind this live video right now. I hit backup BIOS first, then I actually clicked on the start, and you'll see the progress bar appear after that. So what would happen if this is in the middle of updating? Let's say it's updating the backup BIOS, and we shut it off. We should still have a good BIOS on the first one, right? And if we had the wrong BIOS, then of course it shouldn't have accepted it and allowed us to flash it. So this is highly unusual. However, it's also possible it's trying to boot from the flash drive for some reason. Like if I left a boot sector on there and I didn't format it properly because I used it for something else. Although that doesn't explain why it booted okay the first time. So I'm going to go ahead and shut it off now because I feel like it's been long enough and that something isn't right.
Okay.
And the other concern is the fans have been running full speed this whole time. Normally the fans will run full speed initially, and then it posts, and then it will, you'll hear the fans slow down. So that concerns me. So I'm just going to reach over and I'm going to do something I don't like doing, which is shutting it off. But I've been more than patient. You don't want to rush this. And there it is. And we'll wait for the fans to stop spinning. The lights go out on the board. And I'm going to pull the flash drive in case it's trying to boot from it. Okay. And we'll turn this back on, and we'll hit the power switch, and we'll see if I've caused a problem. If so, that means today would be a very bad day.
And it's Friday the 14th. It's not even Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I think maybe the board got confused, but we're okay.
Yeah.
We're fine. And we do have BIOS version F10. Now, just to make sure things haven't corrupted, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the BIOS back to defaults just to ensure that where's F7 is load optimized defaults, and then save and exit is F10. Okay.
And what will that do?
That's going to set all the defaults back to the BIOS just in case any of the settings were off, for even from the factory that may not have been optimal, or sometimes they kind of get wonky after a BIOS update. So every time you update the BIOS, you should be resetting your BIOS, which means if you have any overclocking, if you have any RAID configuration, you'll need to reset all that up again, which is why I'm discouraged against doing those kind of configurations. Now this is my Windows 10 flash drive. Let's pop this in to a blue USB port. And Control-Alt-Delete this bad boy, and it should just boot right into the Windows 10 installation media, which we should see here in just a moment. Kind of glad that happened, because I don't think I've been able to catch that on a live video before, where sometimes the motherboard doesn't fully reset itself properly, and it just very rarely happens. And I always tell people, don't rush to do that. Make sure you give it enough time and give it a chance.
I think you gave it 5 minutes.
Yeah, I think so. Now, I'm not going to explain this process. You can watch me do this and explain it. I have a number of videos that go over this. So we're just going to get through it as quickly as we can because the clock is ticking.
No, that's my pacemaker.
Oh.
All right, so
Tick, 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 tick. All right. What's for dinner tonight, Mitch?
steak. No steak.
Barbecue?
Barbecue. Beautiful beef brisket, smoked.
There's this place in Amarillo, Texas called the Big Texan. And they have the place, where if you eat the 60-ounce steak or something, you get it for free. You got to eat the baked potato and the salad, and you've got to do it under a certain time limit.
Okay.
Otherwise, you have to pay for it. And the steak seasoning that they use, I'll tell you what happened. I went online because I wanted to order the steak seasoning, and I wanted the small one. They have two sizes, small and large. I said, I just want the small one.
Okay.
So I ordered it, and then about a few minutes later, my phone rang from a number from Texas.
Okay.
So I answer it. Hello, is this Carrie Olsen? Yeah. Did you ordered some steak seasoning? Yeah. He said, well, we're out of the small one, so I'm going to send you a large one and not charge you anything else for it. I said, okay. So this came in the mail yesterday. Smell this. See, this is here. Let me take it over again. You can order this online. So good on steaks. Okay. I want you to smell it. Brand new, like breaking the seal. It's got like a little hint of rye in it. It's really strange. Like you'll be eating the steak and you have a couple bites, a couple more bites, and then a bite and you're like, oh, there's rye in that. It's like this little, oh, it smells so good. It's like a little, if it had rye in it in every bite, I wouldn't like it. It's just every once in a while you get that bite of rye. So unusual. I would have never thought to put that in steak seasoning. Don't get it too close. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah, it's quite pungent, yeah.
It's garlic and onion.
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll just eat that by itself.
Even on hamburgers, that would be great.
Yeah, any meat, probably chicken, maybe fish. Yeah, I'm ready to cook. How about some roadkill?
That on the salmon.
Yeah, go ahead, try it.
Yeah.
Now that's making me hungry. We have to wrap this up. I need to go eat. All right. Here, while you're over there. Thank you. Look at that installation time, huh? Not too shabby. We're in 4K mode again. I'm just not used to the font being so tiny in 4K. Ever since I switched to the 4K capture mode, the default resolution is going to 4K rather than 1080. So I might end up just pulling that and going back to the Magewell card. But I want to test that wireless HDMI from the same company that's making the one we're using now, from Hollyland, and see if that fixes the shuttering effect we're having. Because we didn't have that problem with the 1080 capture card. So I think it's a translation issue. $10 from Mariuel. He says, Acronis is in the house. Hey, welcome in, Begowden. Hi, Begowden. Everybody's talking about football. You been keeping up with football? Me neither. I'll watch the Super Bowl, probably.
I do for the commercials.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fast forward past the game. Okay, so we'll go like this. Take that out of there. Let me plug internet in. We'll grab some updates. Love these thin Ethernet cables.
They're out of stock in black.
Oh, are
They
they?
got a lot of different colors, but I went on, and they're like sold out.
Where did you go? Just Amazon?
Um,
Or did you try Monoprice?
that's where they had them. Yeah. Slim cables. Love them.
All right, personal and display settings.
There you go.
Really? That's all it's offering? So we need a driver installed. So that's all right. We'll do that in a minute.
Be many updates.
Yep. It's going to be that time again for another big Windows update here in the spring.
April?
We'll see. Microsoft's been late to the party on many of these, so I'm reluctant to say April. Probably May.
It used to be twice a year, and now it's once a year, correct?
This will be the first year,
yeah.
and it'll be once a year from now on. Crota says, hi, Carrie Holzman. Hope all is well. It is, and hope all is well with you. Paul Newman says it's been an interesting stream, Carrie. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah.
How do you like your food? Well, it's tasty.
Yeah.
Is tasty good or bad? Hey, while we're waiting, you know what we could do? We don't see these too often.
Ooh.
We have like York, what are they? Peppermint patties.
Patties.
Yeah. But the British, ooh, they have the After Eight. And these used to be available in the stores. I was looking for it. I couldn't find it. I had to get it off Amazon. But look at how fancy. These are like your after dinner mints, the chocolate mint. So look at how they package this. It's so ridiculous and over the top. Each little mint is in its own little package, just like those instructions that came with the DeepCool cooler.
These must be the ones that they leave on your pillow in the fancy, not that you stay in the fancy hotels, but
I don't think
but
they
I do.
leave these on a pillow because they're not sealed.
Oh, that's true.
But some way at a
Very pungent.
nice restaurant, and one of these is powerful. Like you likely wouldn't want two of them. And then in the little sleeve, you have this chocolate wafer, and in it is this very strong mint.
It's a bit overpowering. Yeah.
It's very strong.
It would cleanse your palate, definitely.
Yeah, if you had the garlic bread,
Yeah.
Like I said, I wouldn't want more than one. It's so good though.
You're lucky you didn't order those in the summer. They would have come as one big glob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, certain things I order only in the wintertime.
Wintertime. Can't order that when it's
So
100,
chocolates,
when it's a
yeah.
balmy 117 here.
Now, the other thing I got, one of my clients a couple of years ago for the holidays sent me a gift basket from this company called Enstrom. I think they're in Colorado. And this is an almond toffee. I found this at Costco the other day.
Okay.
The thing about toffee is a lot of it can be like peanut brittle, really hard. But this toffee is like soft, like it just came out of the oven.
Oh, you haven't opened it yet.
No, I just got it yesterday.
Ooh.
And I also like the portion size, right? It's a little cube. You want one? I'll show this to the audience. So this is an almond, English toffee, milk chocolate. Looks like this. And then when you bite into it, it's not hard as a brick, right?
You gotta like toffee, you know.
But it's soft toffee.
Yeah.
It's not soft like caramel. It's still crunch. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't take a lot of effort. It falls apart. Ooh, and I just got a bit of almond. Oh. I should not have bought these. This was a big mistake.
One a day would be the only thing I would say to myself.
Yeah, one a day. If nobody's looking, who's going to tell them?
Yeah.
Oh, they're so good. Just as I remembered. I haven't had them in a couple of years.
I wonder if my Costco, I'll have to look for them, yeah.
So good. So good. I forgot how much I like those. This is why I don't buy them, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it between my teeth.
Toffee is bad for your teeth. Well, I'll pull out my dentures. and
Not
just-
this, not this toffee.
yeah.
Not this toffee. It's not. It's. This is why I'm trying to tell you. This is a different recipe.
It was very soft.
It's not caramel. It's still hard, but it's extremely brittle. It just breaks apart super easy.
Jim says a wafer thin mint boom.
It is wafer thin.
That's a
Mr. Creosote.
That's a reference from Monty Python's
Meaning of life.
movie where the guy sat down to dinner who weighed about 500 pounds. Yeah.
Did he weigh 500 pounds?
Yeah.
He was big, however big he was. I had to get a cold Gatorade.
Still doing
Oh, that
updates.
chocolate is so good.
Yeah. Still doing updates.
I really shouldn't have bought that. Toffee is always just basically burnt sugar. I'm okay with that. Enforcer P says, "You're killing me, Carrie. I've been on a no-carb diet for a month. I'm basically a carbivore. I don't think I eat anything that doesn't have carbs.
A month. What are you eating? Leaves? Greens?
Dust.
Dust.
You can eat all the dust you like.
Nice big bowl of steam. All right. How we doing here?
Pending. Installing. All right, well, I can wait. It's taking a long time. Okay, I'm not going to wait. I'm not going to wait. I'll just hit restart. Let it do it this way. I'm impatient now.
Okay. I'm still thinking about that barbecue.
Oh, yeah, we should definitely check it out.
Beautiful.
The guy's from Michigan.
Beautiful brisket sandwich. Oh, man. With the sauce.
Is that rich or dark chocolate? I don't like rich or dark chocolate. It's milk chocolate. If you see me eating chocolate, I can almost guarantee you it's going to be milk chocolate, or I probably won't be eating it. Bob says you guys are going to ruin your dinner. When did you eat last? Did you eat this morning for breakfast?
Had hot cocoa. It was very cold when I got up this morning.
But you didn't eat anything. That's drinking.
Yeah.
Didn't ask you what you drank.
Oh, I had a hard-boiled egg.
One egg?
Yeah, right.
With nuts?
No, just one hard-boiled egg before I came here.
Who was that? I wanted to say Laurel, not Abbott and Costello, not Laurel and Hardy. Yeah, it's Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
I always get them all mixed up.
Hardy was in the hospital and Laurel brought him. What did you bring me? Hard-boiled egg and nuts. Why didn't you bring me a box of candy? Because you didn't pay me for the last box I brought you.
So rude.
Let's see how many of these doodads. Only one.
It's flying.
Yeah.
See how fast it's... Look at that. It seems too fast.
Yeah, there you go.
Now, can I go to 1920? Yeah.
Yeah, there she is.
Of course, I just shut down the Windows update.
Oh.
It's still updated
Yeah.
now. No worries.
Yeah. Boy, it was really moving.
Don't check for updates again. Yeah, we're flying now.
There you go.
Okay, so with the utilities flash drive, we'll plug this in and quickly get the Samsung NVMe driver. There's a couple things I like to put on here, so I don't have to re-download them every time. First, I like to get rid of these stupid things. All right, so we'll go here, we'll go here, put VLC on here.
What CPU was that? I forgot already.
9900 KS, limited edition.
Seems very fast.
It's quick. And this cooler is absolutely silent, so
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious how good it's cooling.
Once we bounce it in the case.
Throw the optimizer on there,
Yes, indeed.
and while that's doing that, we'll run the NVMe driver. That's a quick install and reboot. Well, that should improve the performance even more. So we'll run Prime 95 for 20 minutes. We'll see how it does. And then, assuming everything's okay, which I imagine it will be, we can put the motherboard in the case. Well, that should take moments.
Yep.
And then, we'll hook up the front port umbilicals and everything and fire it up. We'll be done. We can go eat dinner. So the longest part of this right now is just waiting for the Prime 95 to run. But let me get the Magician software installed real quick. We'll make sure the drive's okay, and if there's any firmware updates for it, it's brand new. If there's any updates, there'll be a big capital N right next to the word update. So everything's current. We've only written 31 gigs to this drive. Everything looks happy. So now I will grab Prime 95. And I like to use HW Monitor. These are all free tools you can Google to download. I cannot distribute them legally. So we'll start HW Monitor. Kick that off and see what kind of temps we're running at now. Give it just a second to see, it says not responding. Just give it a second. There it is. Ooh, those are nice temps. Those are really nice temps. All right, so we'll go over to Prime 95. We'll kick this off and run it on all 16 cores. And I'll close this window and bring this window on top, and I'll start my stopwatch. Here we go. I always give it the benefit, so when my stopwatch hits 20 minutes, it's been more than 20 minutes.
So how many threads and how many cores? Was this?
8 cores, 16 threads. And this will run 5 gigahertz across all cores and threads.
The fans did ramp up a little bit, yeah.
David McGurran sent $13.15. He says, I can't seem to catch all your live videos, but still love your content and say hi to Mitch. Well, thank you, David.
Thank you.
So, about a minute and a half into this test so far.
64.
Well, it got to 64 already? That's surprising. This is a hot chip, though. I did have problems cooling these initially when I got them. So, that was quite a while. It was about 2 years ago. 68, 69 looks like a maximum so far. If we scroll down here, you can see 5 gigahertz, more than 5 gigahertz across all 8 cores. Ooh, that fan's really cranking up now. So the threads don't have temperature readings. It's the physical cores themselves.
Okay.
So there's 8 cores, starting at the number 0 would be 1 and 1 would be 2, right? And so 7 will be 8. And you'll see it's going to be changing frequency as it ramps up and down for the requests that Prime 95 is asking it to do, combined with its temperature. Right now its temperature is still nice at 74. We're still okay Oh, 79. Well, that's getting a little worrying that just 2-3 minutes into the test, we're already almost at 80. When we hit 85 degrees centigrade Celsius, I get concerned over the cooler's ability to cool. And if that's the case, then this cooler is more looks than it is action. And that'll mean that we'd be better off with a side Mugen 5, perhaps. But we'll give us a full chance. I mean, we're already at 80, so we're only 5 degrees away, but we're only 3.5 minutes in. That's not a good start. This cooler is not looking good on behalf of Be Quiet. Not Be Quiet. Why did I say that? On behalf of DeepCool. Oh, there's so many cooler companies.
Yeah.
On behalf of DeepCool, you know, this cooler looks amazing and it's easy to install. But those temps seem awfully high for a cooler this good, unless I've somehow installed it wrong. So I want to just take a look at the instructions while we're waiting to see if there's anything I might have missed. Because that's a little worrisome. The AK620 cooler. So they're showing the brackets going on opposite of the lever. But everything we did was exactly what the instructions, I'm looking at the instructions for the very first time. You see they do have the cooler facing the RAM.
Yep.
And that's it. That's all there is. There's no secret sauce or anything. It's just not performing as well as I had hoped. Again, this is a very hot chip, and that's why I wanted to use it, because it's a very big cooler. But I would wonder how this would compare with a Mugen 5, which is smaller and cheaper. So we'll see what happens first. We're a little over 5 minutes in the test. Still 80 is our max. I got a feeling this isn't going to survive. I think it's not going to survive the test, because once we hit 86, I'm done. I don't want it. So who knows? Maybe it'll surprise us in 80s as hot as it. Maybe that's the hottest it's ever going to get. Right now we're in the mid 60s. For whatever Prime 95 is doing, it's not pushing the cooler that hard. If this cooler is inadequate, then we won't be putting the motherboard in the case today. We'll have to come back and I think what we'll do today, rather than put it in the case, is pull this cooler off, put a Mugen 5 on it, and check it again. And then that's going to be out of time. We've got an hour left for today's broadcast. So we are rushed up against the clock and, you know, lost 20 minutes in putting the wrong board in. My bad. This is why I get so far behind in my builds. Things end up taking longer than I was anticipating, and unexpected events take place. So still locked in at 80, a little over 6 minutes in. We'll keep an eye on it. Rick Hubbard contributes £5. Hey, thank you, Rick, as always. All cores shouldn't be hitting 5 gigahertz. Yes, Mike, they should. You see, statements like that should be questions, because you don't know what you're talking about. This is a KS processor, not a K, a KS. Now, I want you to go on Google, and I want you to figure out why the KS is a limited edition and what makes it special. And I will give you a hint. It's because all the cores run at 5 gigahertz, not just one. You're confusing a 9900K with a 9900KS, and you are proliferating false information on the internet, and I wish you would not be a part of the problem. I really wish you would ask more questions. Taco says, my 85-year-old mother has a mini PC the size of a packet of cigarettes, and she loves it, and I'm impressed with it too. Well, you've got the Azul 4, which is even smaller than that. And what do you use that for?
In the screening room when I want to surf the web.
So for browsing the web, but for playing movies too, or?
No, I use a NVIDIA Shield with Plex.
Oh, fancy.
Yeah.
Fancy.
They're 200 beans, but it's the best streamer over Amazon Fire Cube, and I got a Roku and an Apple TV, so I got them all, but I tend to stay with the NVIDIA Shield.
All right, let's see how we're doing here. Still locked in at 8. Well, it's still in the 60s right now, the upper 60s, because, you know, Prime 95 is throwing RAM tests and different types of calculations at the CPU. And, you know, I'm not really interested what anybody's opinion of the process of the cooler is. I don't care if some other channel evaluated it. That means nothing to me, because I'm not a sheep and I don't just blindly believe what people say, or that the testing environment was equivalent to the way I test. So for anybody who's saying anything about the cooler, about previous results from other sites, I'm not interested in that. I could have looked, right? If I want to be ultra lazy and I want to believe any information without verifying it and be a sheep, then I guess I would do that. But do you think I'm not capable of looking at other sites and doing research? And I'm not interested. Not interested in other people's results. And nor should you. You should be interested in your own results, but have appropriate expectations. So this cooler so far is doing okay, but I got a feeling that as we move on, you know, we're about nearly 10 minutes into the test, I think it's going to exceed my personal ceiling of 85. You know, like I said, if it hits 86, we'll remove it and won't use it, which, you know, is disappointing, but this is why I do the tests myself. I have no interest in what other people have to say. Unless I know them personally, different story. Barry Klein with a $5 contribution says, "Good evening, tech buskers. I'm late to the party, but enjoying the tail end of the testing." Thank you, Barry. What is the room temperature? Room temperature wouldn't affect this. The results of the room temperature, let me answer your question this way. The room temperature is room temperature. In any computer that we test in room temperature would be the room temperature in which the computer would be operating. And so while room temperatures do fluctuate throughout the day and night, the computer will be used in normal room temperature variations in room temperature. Probably would be anywhere from 70 to 80 degrees would be a normal room temperature. So even if this room were as hot as 80, I would still expect the cooler to perform as it should. If the room temperature was extraordinarily and unusually cold or hot, then that would be a factor. But within 10 degrees Fahrenheit, if 10 degrees Fahrenheit makes a difference on your cooler, it doesn't mean that the cooler's okay. It's still a bad cooler, as far as I am concerned. Any consideration of room temperature without a, you know, that's not in a normal variation is not an excuse for a cooler's performance. Oh, they said I missed a contribution. Let me scroll up. Ah, yes, Chris Garrett contributed $10. He says, "Good afternoon, Carrie and Mitch. Thanks for all you do."
Hey, Chris, thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you for pointing out that I missed that.
Hope you guys are all enjoying your Friday. The weekend's here.
That was Bob Connors that alerted me to that. Thanks, Bob. Minus 30 here in Toronto.
Oh, jeez.
That's a bit chilly. And it's expensive there, too. Oh, I hear that fan cranking up. What's our temp doing? 87?
Yeah,
Yeah,
better-
we're done.
Yeah,
We're done.
Done. Better shut her down. Yeah. Shut her down.
Yeah. Well, that's too bad. Disappointing. It's just want people to watch that temperature drop when I stop the test.
Okay. Watch those temps.
You can hear the fan crank up. You know it's getting hot. So we'll go ahead and shut this down. This is not going to work for me. First of all, I don't like coolers with two fans. Not a fan.
Of 2 fans.
It's too much cable management. It very rarely makes any difference in cooling. We're going to grab a Scythe Mugen 5 Black Edition, which sells for less than this, has 1 fan, but a much larger heatsink, and we're going to run the same test on the same hardware in the same room temperature. And I'm going to show you the difference because I can, because I already know what the difference is. We'll let this shut down.
And you think that little tube of thermal paste might have one more application in there, maybe?
I think so.
So-
And the thermal compound isn't going to make a
Right.
difference in our temps, not more than 1 or 2 degrees at the most. So I'm not worried about that being inadequate or a problem. It's the design of the cooler that's at fault. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's where our focus needs to be. And so what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what, by using the Mugen 5, I could also put that crystal RAM in it. So we might be focused more on DeepCool's cases and power supplies than on their coolers, which is ironic since cool is in their name. But this is not good enough, DeepCool. I'm sorry. I appreciate that DeepCool has sent us the product to test, but I have to be honest, even if it costs me a potential sponsorship, I just can't condone or recommend a product of this size and expense that has the issues that I discussed. And at the end of the day, the most important of is cooling. So let's get this taken off of here quickly and change it out. This should only take a minute. It's big and heavy. And if you wouldn't mind, would you grab a paper towel and clean this one more time? I'm gonna pull, well, you know what, I'll leave the RAM for now. So disappointed. Something that big and that expensive runs that poorly. I'm happy with how easily it installed. I think DeepCool has a very good installation method, but that cooler's not good. It's just not good. Not in my opinion. I think you can get a better cooler. I think the Scythe Mugen 5 is cheaper. I think it looks better. It only uses 1 fan. There's less cable management. And the installation is about the same. A little easier because it's a little less work because you only have 1 fan to install. John Paul Bacon says DeepCool's all-in-ones perform very well. Well, if DeepCool wants to continue to send me product and accept the honest review, whether it's good or bad, I'm happy to accept whatever they want to send. However, I wouldn't have accepted it if I thought it was going to be bad. Like if I had an inkling of doubt, I would have said no thank you. But I haven't tested anything from DeepCool. I saw them at CES a few years ago. As I mentioned, when they had that case with the built-in all-in-one cooler, I heard a lot of issues with that case online in the reviews. But I never got my hands on one. I was reluctant to drop the money, and they didn't send me one. If they'd have sent me one, I would have used it. So it is what it is. Okay, so that's all taken apart. And if we can get the top of that cleaned off.
Yep.
And then we'll just put these parts over here. Just can't see why they would go through the effort to build something that big that doesn't perform very well. It doesn't make any sense to me. Okay, so Mugen.
Every
Mugen.
time we broadcast, the ice cream man
Always
wants the
free advertising. So this is the Mugen 5. This is a $60 cooler. Now it's $10 less if you want it in all silver, like that one's all silver. This is going to match better with black for $10 more. It's otherwise the same cooler in a different color that the Mugen 5 you've seen in the past. And these are back in stock at Amazon today, 14th of January, 2022. So when Mitch cleans that, I'll start prepping this. This is a very fast installation, and we'll be able to run the Prime 95 test one more time, and then we'll be able to go have dinner after that. Then we will still plan on using the DeepCool case. It still seems like it'll be a nice case to use with all the RGB. We were just hopeful that the products would have been good across the board. Earl Stone with $5. Thank you, Earl. I think this cooler is better than any other manufacturer at this price point, period. I don't think this cooler has a competitor. I wish it did. I would like to be able to, recommend a cooler that's equivalent when this is out of stock. But at $59.99 for an all-black single radiator cooler that's this easy to install. And take a look, DeepCool. When I open this up, I want you to see something. I want the folks at DeepCool to notice something. Look at the size of the thermal compound tube. And I want you to see what comes out of this box, DeepCool. A real screwdriver that isn't going to blister your hands, your knuckles, or cause you to scrape your knuckles against the cooler. So I think if they can afford to do that at $60, you guys should be able to afford to do it at $100. Now, that's just my opinion on it. All unhappiness is caused by comparison. All right, so let's get this cooler put on real quick.
Let me clean that chip.
Oh, you haven't cleaned it?
I mean, I got it.
Oh yeah, you wiped it with the
Let me get the Q-tips.
All right. I'm going to go through the parts bin here and
Okay.
separate out everything we've got with the bag that comes with the Mugen 5. So even though this is a larger container, I think they're still getting the same amount of thermal compound. It's just easier to use it when it's bigger like that. And then we've got, once again, a pre-assembled bracket, which Noctua has forgotten how to do. And we've got a bag for Intel. Oh, I guess the bag's for Intel and AMD. Our fan brackets, and then Intel and AMD brackets here. So the Intel brackets are the big ones. Are they the big ones? No, they're the small ones. Intel brackets are the small brackets. Ulysses contributes $5, says thanks for all you do. Thank you, Ulysses. Done with that. Stop that timer and reset it. In this bag, we've got these very long screws. These are used for AMD, so those will go back in the bag. We're not using them. And of course, we have those short little stubby standoffs with one end longer than the other. That's an Intel 2066 2011 socket, which can go back in the bag. The remaining parts are what we're going to use on today's build. There's 8 remaining parts, the thumb screws, 4 of those, and 4 standoffs. If anything, I would say this build's a little easier because on the DeepCool, they've got you screwing on the standoffs, and here we're just using plastic spacers that push on, so it's a little bit easier. And of course, we'll need the 2 fan hangers. Now, Mugen, Scythe rather, gives you an extra set of fan hangers if you wanted to put a second fan on like that DeepCool had. I think second fans are a waste of time. As you just witnessed, it did not benefit us to have a second fan.
I don't want to bend down with you standing there.
No, I'm going to bend down because I don't want you with your back.
Yes, appreciate that.
So that's the first time someone said that to me, by
Yeah.
the way. I don't know why. Jeez.
All right.
Do something 17 times and they think that's all
you.
you're ever going to do.
Okay, that's clean.
Okay. Glove. Oh, wait, not yet. Now let me put the
glove,
back
yeah.
plate on.
Back
So the
plate.
back plate, same process. Got much longer screws here, right? That other back plate had really short screws with DeepCool, and then you had to attach a screw on top. This one, these screws go all the way through, Now, it's important that you line it up correctly, like all four have to go in at the same time. And it's a little difficult to do while the motherboard is tethered with all these cables. Which one might, there it goes. Okay, and then these little plastic spacers go on with the rubber side down, and they actually have quite a bit of resistance. You have to push them down, and they lock that back plate into place for you so you don't have to worry about it falling out, which used to drive me crazy back on the Cooler Master Hyper 212 days. But back then we were happy to have it. Nowadays, the manufacturers have done so much better. And these brackets go on in the traditional way along the same direction as the lever that I talked about, where DeepCool's goes on opposite. DeepCool's is the only cooler I've seen for Intel that goes on opposite. And then the little thumb screws go on top to hold these brackets on. You see how easy this cooler is to install?
Yeah, just
And I've never seen a fan go bad on one of these yet. Not yet. Ramy Hermes contributes $5 He says, "Thanks, Kerry, for keeping me entertained during self-isolation. Self-isolation, COVID-19 sucks." Yeah, it does. I'm glad I can keep you distracted. Taco says, "What is better?" Where did it go? I missed it. Okay, we'll just tighten these down. Okay, now we're ready for thermal compound and a glove.
you want to see if there's any left in this one?
No.
No.
I'm using the thermal compound that the manufacturers intend their product to work with when a product is new. If a product is being repaired or used, then I don't care. Like I said, there isn't much difference between them. But in order for this test to be an accurate test and to give everybody a fair shake, we do it the way they intend us to do it. XRod666 says, "Kerry, you should take a look at the Scythe Ninja 5. Yeah, I did take a look at it. I don't care for it.
This was a 3-glove day. I'm quite
It's
impressed.
a 3-glove. That's funny.
Yeah.
How was your day today? It was a 3-glove day.
It was a 3-glove day. Okay.
No, that's not good.
Not good.
Peel the protective tape. Can you take that for me? Thank you, Mitch. Set that right on top. Use the included driver that isn't going to blister your hands or cause you any opportunity to run up against the edge of the radiator, which is always sharp. Trying to do this quickly. I'm getting hungry, Mitch. We got 35 minutes. Tick tock.
Pitter patter. Get after it.
Tasting barbecue.
Yeah, me too. Did you say they have a homemade coleslaw or mac and cheese? Yeah.
Both.
Mac and cheese, yeah. I bet their coleslaw is made fresh too.
I bet it all's made fresh.
Fresh.
I've never been there before. So. People asking about any tools or parts you see me use, including the Lazy Susan, are all found in my Amazon store. If you click down in the video notes, you'll see a link that points to Amazon for Kerry Holzman's store. And everything you see, the screwdrivers, the tools, the pliers, the cutters, the Lazy Susan, the lighting I use, all of it is available at Amazon. Okay, so this is going to go on this way. Again, I want the cable coming out this side. Now I could run the cable underneath this one if I want to.
Yeah, the CPU fan is right there.
So we'll put that fan bracket on there. like so, and then this fan bracket on here. Okay. There we go. And we'll just extend that one out that side. Now, on the other one, I didn't want to run the cable underneath because it was getting over the RAM, but on this one, I don't mind because it takes up the slack. And you'll notice now we could put the RGB RAM in and it won't be covered up anymore.
Okay.
Oop, except I didn't put that one in very good, did I? I'm in such a hurry, I'm making little mistakes.
You gonna get barbecue chicken or a sandwich?
Well, I won't get a sandwich,
Okay.
but I'll definitely, I don't know that I'll do chicken. Maybe I'll do the baby back ribs. Those sound pretty good. I want my baby back.
Baby.
Get in my belly. Okay, that's it. We're ready to run this again?
You're a little high. Just kidding. All right.
Well, the fan is resting on
Oh,
the
gotcha.
screw.
Yeah.
It can't go
Okay,
any lower.
further.
So this is a different design, right? DeepCool's design allows that fan to be level. This design does not. This fan cannot go any lower because the screw that it mounts to that's directly underneath
Now
the
you
fan.
want to put that Trident RAM in there?
No, at this point I just
Yeah.
want to get through this and
Yeah.
test it.
Okay.
So let's fire it up and see what she does.
Okay.
I'm very curious to these results. This is a single fan, but a much larger radiator and a cheaper price. And an easier install. Okay, that didn't take long, did it? Once again, we'll run HW monitor. Sitting around the same temperature as we were before. And then Prime 95. Click OK. Close that window.
Hit the timer.
Bring this over here where we can see it, and we'll start the timer. And so it begins. Round and round she goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
He who hesitates is lost.
I'll just set that down there for
Yeah. Okay.
now. Okay. Now, let me go back to the chat room and have a little discussion with the folks at home. We can make this a little bigger. All right. Yes, if you enjoy the content, you want to see more content like this, you can give it a thumbs up.
This way. Yeah.
And of course, you can subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to be alerted anytime new content is posted, be sure and hit the bell icon to turn notifications on. Not some notifications, but all of them. And if you have the app installed on your phone, be sure you allow the notifications. In the settings of your phone, go into the app settings and allow notifications. Duncan says, Carrie just keeps proving that reality can be very interesting. Who'da thunk?
Yes.
PDK Gamer says, I always like your honest reviews without the usual BS and sellouts. Yeah, they don't write me a check large enough for that. Everybody's got a price. Sean Flynn likes Little Miss Barbecue. You know, there was a place on 59th Avenue in Bell. It was a really cool building. And it was called The Pits Again. TheePitts again. And it was this weird kind of foil looking, like really shiny chrome. I drove by it the other day. It's now Reef Medical Marijuana No, I don't even think it's medical. It's Reef Marijuana Dispensary.
Dispensary. Yeah.
From a barbecue joint that had been there for like 15 years.
And it was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Oh, it was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives? Well, imagine your surprise when you go there now.
And it was terrible.
Yeah, it was very
It
salty.
was disgusting.
It was salty. I went there a couple times.
And it was a silver building?
Yeah, it's a really
It was
cool.
silver and pink.
Yeah. And it had like pigs, like little stuffed pigs and statues of pigs and
Okay.
awards, pictures and pictures of awards all over the, like they bragged a lot. And I thought, well, maybe I went on a bad day, you know. So I went back about 3 or 4 times. Every time, salty, salty, salty. So I'm not surprised they're out of business, but I am surprised that it's just not another restaurant, given it was built out to be a restaurant, and now it's a dispensary. This is very strange. I was not expecting that. So, yeah, you want to go have barbecue? That's going to become like a code word. Well, it used to be a barbecue. I've always liked Honey Bear's barbecue downtown. Oh, it's their slogan was, "You don't need no teeth to eat our meat."
Okay.
It's true.
Quite
It's very
memorable.
tender. Talking about food isn't helping. It's 4:30. We got 28 minutes to wrap this up. We are 3.5 minutes into the test. How are we doing there? I can't see it. Let me bring it up here. Oh, not good. 75 already. See, this is a hard chip to cool. Do you remember how many minutes we were in on this cooler when I shut it off? Was it 10 minutes?
It was over 10.
It was over 10?
10, yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember you talking, saying we're just at 10 minutes. So I'm thinking more like 12. about
No,
12.
maybe I'll end up eating my words here, but I think this cooler, that we aren't going to hit 86. Like I said, 85 is my max. So if we go over 85, I'm shutting the test down. Oh, hit 82 already. See, I said something, and it jumped up to 82. So we might be shutting this one down too. A very difficult chip to cool. I'd be interested to see these side by side, how they perform. I honestly thought this was going to do better, but it hasn't let me down yet. We're 4.5 minutes into the test.
That dispensary, was their slogan, "This bud's for you"? I'm just asking.
I didn't go in. So John wants to know, what if the Mugen doesn't perform any better than the DeepCool? Well, obviously not something I can fake or lie about, right? You're here witnessing with me live, unedited and unscripted. But that would mean both coolers are inadequate for cooling this chip to the level I want it cooled. We might have to go with an all-in-one liquid cooler. Because I don't want to I do have a Noctua DH15, but again, when I ship it, they tend to start splitting. So I don't want to put something that big and heavy. I also would like to show off the RAM, especially in such a nice case that DeepCool sent us. So a big air tower cooler just may not be adequate with this board. I don't know yet. We'll just keep watching it and see what it does. But 82 at nearly 6 minutes in, so it's not looking promising. But we're running at 70 degrees right now, Celsius. We're watching this side is our current temperatures, and then this side here is our peak temperatures, and in the middle is our minimum temperatures since we started the software. And then our frequencies, again, current, lowest, and highest. So we'll keep an eye on it. Not looking promising.
Dennis says, "Mitch, don't bend over. It might be a 4-glove day." Now that's good. What thermal paste are you using? The one that came in the... Which did you use?
Yeah, size.
Size, yeah.
What do we hit, 87 on the other one? We're already at 84 on this one, and we're a little over 7 minutes in.
Don't
It's
think
a close race.
Yeah, don't think
Pretty
so,
much neck and neck.
Don't think it's going to make it.
But for the price difference, I'm still going with the side moving fan because it's an easier install, right? If it's going to perform nearly the same, why spend more and have two fans when you could spend less and have one fan? Unless the other one looks better, but I think this one looks better.
And when are you ever going to hammer a CPU this hard?
Oh, you're not likely. Most people
not even
would
with
never.
not even with video
No,
rendering.
don't misunderstand what I'm doing here. This cooler, either cooler would adequately cool this chip under normal, the way most people use a computer. You wouldn't hammer it for 20 minutes straight. You hammer it in little bits, right? Maybe a couple minutes at the most, unless you're an extreme user, which some people are. But this channel isn't for extreme users. So most like Dell and HP computers you buy pre-built, even the gaming ones, they wouldn't pass this test, right? But you wouldn't know that when you're just using the computer normally. You wouldn't normally have an issue. However, for me, I have higher standards. So likely we'll have to go with a liquid cooler on this. Because even at 84, I'm not comfortable. You know, to have it so close to my limit, it's already not good. But for the sake of testing,
Yeah.
you know, it's no good if I use other testing software, if I'm using Cinebench or anything else, then it throws all my other results out the window. Even changing versions of Prime 95 means all my previous tests are no longer valid. So I have to stick with the same software that is free, that you can run at home, so you can compare yours against what I'm doing here at any given time, going back years. So the testing remains the same, and I don't change the testing software because it would invalidate all my previous results. We're still locked in at 84. We're 9 minutes into the test. Now, I'm pretty sure we're going to exceed 85 here. I need to go back through the video and find out where we were when we shut it off, what the time was. But I know we were at 87 because I heard the fans crank up, and I went, oh, I better look. And this seems like the fan's running full speed right now, and it's quieter. At least it seems quieter to me, but there's only one fan running full speed and not two. But I don't know the rotational speed of the fans is the same. But what's the point of having a cooler that big if it's not going to perform as good as this? And what's the point of paying extra? And this one you get the nice screwdriver, this one you don't. And this one does install a little easier, although the installation method here, I will give them credit that it's a decent installation method, but this one's better in my opinion. And we're about halfway through the test right now. Is it 10 minutes? William says, have you ever done a video showing the utilities that I use? I only use 4 utilities. Why would I need a video to show 4 utilities? Paul says the Mugen definitely looks better.
Yeah, for the overall aesthetic, I'll give you that, yeah.
Taco says an air-conditioned room should make a difference. Who runs their air conditioning in January? Where do you live? You in Australia? It's very strange. Okay, so I'm hearing the fan ramp up again. Let me check. Still, 84 is our max. What do you think? You think it's going to ever exceed 84?
I would think in maybe 5 more minutes she might jump to 85.
You think it's going to take 5 minutes? We're at 11 and a half, just about 11 and a half.
Maybe
minutes
not
on
5,
the stopwatch.
Blackwatch, my favorite cooler was Patrick Swayze. Roadhouse.
My favorite cooler was Bartles and James.
There was a movie called The Cooler that starred Alec Baldwin and William H. Macy that I liked.
Gary says, is it possible that the temp sensor could be faulty? No. Based on the results I'm seeing, the temp sensor is operating exactly as it should. When I was taking the old cooler, the previous cooler off, those heat sinks were very, very hot to touch over the VRMs. So it was very, very hot. And I do have liquid coolers laying around here, but I really want something RGB, I think. Maybe even another white cooler like I used on that white build you and I did. We are crossing 13 minutes. This cooler is already performing better now. I know I can say that.
Okay.
As I suspected,
Yep.
it's better. Just, it's a better cooler. Looks better, it's cheaper, it's easier to install, it comes with a screwdriver, it's quieter, it's less cable management. What else do you want? So, I mean, it's not a huge difference in cooling, but it's cheaper, and it is an improvement. So, there you have it. We'll go ahead and finish the test, though. We're at 13 and a half minutes. We have 7 minutes to go. We're right on the edge. And again, nobody, and most people, at least that I sell computers to over the last 25 years, and really over the last 30 years, would ever push a computer this hard for this long. This is highly unusual. I do this because I know if the computer can keep a temp of 85 or less during this, then anything the customer is going to throw at it is likely going to sail through. And that's worked for me for all these decades. And he says, where can I get that Samsung Magician software? Go to Google, type in, where can I get the Samsung Magician software? Your first link should be Samsung.com. It only works on Samsungs. If you don't have a Samsung SSD, it will not run. I'm always a big believer in teaching a man to fish. That's what we do here. We teach you how you can be self-reliant. So I may not personally hand feed you the answers, but I will tell you how you can feed yourself. So don't be afraid of asking questions, because I'm going to tell you how to do it yourself. That's the point of this channel. It's not for me to do things for you. And we're still sitting at 84 degrees and just nearly at 15 minutes. That's pretty incredible.
Yep.
Same test, same hardware, same room, everything's the same. All we did is change the cooler. This is all live, unedited, unscripted, one take. You can't fake this, nor why would I? Nobody's paying. I appreciate DeepCool sending the product to me for me to test. I wish I could have more positive things to say about it. If I would have thought it was going to be this way, I wouldn't have bothered, because I'm not just going to make content for the sake of finding something to complain about on purpose. I can do that easily. I don't need to script that. Well, I hear it ramping up again.
Yeah, you better take a look.
Yeah, let's make it full screen so we can see what's going on.
Oh.
Oh, there's 85,
85.
15 minutes and 40 seconds, we hit 86.
87
87 at 15:45.
Yeah, you better,
89.
better shut her down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
good.
getting a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Now, we can go all the way to 100,
Well, yeah,
and it's
but-
not going to hurt anything if we do, all right? What's going to happen is the chip is going to start,
Throttling.
you're going to see these temps, or
Yeah.
not these temps, you're going to see these
Yeah.
speeds down here are going to start to drop in order for it to cool.
Yeah,
So,
shut her down.
That's 90. I don't like pushing the chip harder than that. And besides, we're at 16. We're over 16 minutes. That's enough. We're going to need a liquid cooler on this. And then you see the temps
Yeah,
just drop
watch that.
because I shut the test off.
Yeah.
But we went much further with this cooler than we did with the DeepCool cooler. But neither one is adequate. And again, this is why I used a 9900 KS. They are notorious for what they require for cooling. But I think if we change the RAM out to the Trident RAM and then put a liquid cooler on there, maybe a white one, I think will fit into the DeepCool case. I think we're going to have a really sharp looking computer.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully the DeepCool case will be easy to work on. I've had a couple of issues with it already, but very, very minor. And I do think for $110 you can get a pretty nice NZXT case that's a little better in those regards. But
Be a sharp-looking build.
Yeah, but the likelihood of finding somebody else with an NZXT case is much higher than finding somebody with a DeepCool case. So if you want something more exclusive, something more unique, they are a bit harder to find, and they do cost a little more. Bill Binder with £2 says, cheers, Carrie and Mitch. Hey,
Bill.
cheers, Bill. Thank you. Yes, we could put another fan on the other side. I don't want to do that. I really don't want to. And it's also going to interfere with this I/O shield. If we were to put a fan there, right, if we were to take a fan, it's just not going to look, it's not a good look. It covers the RGB. What's the point of having RGB if you're going to cover it with fans? And the fan won't sit fully down, so it's not going to be very efficient. It adds more noise. So there's things you could do, but not necessarily things you should do, in my opinion. Remember, it's got to hold up to my standards, not yours. And my standards are quite demanding because I don't want to get caught up in support. I have to scale everything. You have to work on 1 or 2 computers. I have to work on hundreds of computers. And I don't know if you can quite understand how overwhelming that can be. There's nobody for me to pass the job on to. I have to personally do it myself. It's important when a machine is done that it's done to my exacting standards, or I could go out of business. This isn't a hobby for me. This is how I earn a living. And the only way I can earn a living is if I'm making a profit. Any warranty call, that's labor, that's free labor, and a pissed off customer. It's just bad for me, it's bad for them. So I do a little bit of over-engineering, a little bit of overkill, and to reduce the odds I'm going to get a support call. There's certain things that can happen. Power supplies can die. Power outages can cause power corruptions. Customers can click on things they shouldn't be clicking on. Whether or not I choose to cover that under warranty is my decision. However, if the customer does everything the way they're supposed to, and we're avoiding, clicking on things and power spikes and things like that, then everything should run for years and years and years trouble-free. And I have 30 years of experience behind me. And the fact that I'm still doing it is all the proof that you need that it's working. So that's why I do what I do. Bigger consequences. So keep that in mind when you decide what you want to do for yourself. Now, I think that's going to wrap it up. We got about 10 minutes to say goodbye, and then we have to eat because I am dying over here.
You want to shut this down?
Yeah, just tap the power button for me, if you would. Just tap and release. There it goes. See the screen? It's already off. And then we'll go full screen back on camera 1. And we're back. Full screen. So I want to thank everyone who's contributed. Peter Laycock with that very generous contribution, as well as everybody else. YouTube used to have a running list under this viewer activity tab.
I don't know why
It just doesn't work anymore. It's very frustrating. And you got to see me build a system twice, but you got to see how fast I can go. And that was working at a steady pace. That wasn't me really rushing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like to rush because then I'm more likely to make another mistake. After I've made the first mistake, I want to slow down, but I also want to avoid distractions and talking so I can get it right. Because if you screw it up twice, screwing it up once is human. Screwing it up twice, well,
shame on you.
Might want to rethink what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So my thanks, Rick Lakes, Duncany, Catherine Anna Hauserman, Bill Binder, Patrick Roussaw, Dawco, and Madi Yoel, as well as
Michael
Chris
Dane.
Garrett, Michael Dane,
Dane,
of course,
Dr.
Robert
Matt.
Malovich, Matt Power. Thanks for the contributions, then the PayPal contributions that were in email that I listed off earlier. I don't think there's any new ones, but I'll just check one more time before we go. Nope, we got them all. So, yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Trident G-Skill RAM, liquid cooler, DeepCool case. Might have to do that off camera. I'm just never going to get anything done if I have to keep waiting.
Right.
But the DeepCool power supply seems fine. The DeepCool case seems fine. Cannot recommend the DeepCool cooler. I can't make that up, man. Cool is in the name. That's the thing they should be shining. Should be called Deep Case. If that's the thing they do best, that's what their name should be.
No.
That's why New Coke came out. You can't have something called Coca-Cola that's going to outsell your flagship product. And that's what their testing suggested. So we have to replace it. We can't have a product from Coca-Cola that outsells Coca-Cola unless it's called Coca-Cola. Andy says, and wear your glasses next time, Carrie. I don't think my glasses would have helped.
Okay.
It wasn't that I wasn't seeing. It's that I wasn't paying close enough attention that I was still on the ASUS board. Even in the BIOS, I didn't really
Which
ignore.
reminds me, you got to find out about those eye drops. You know, if you can get your hands on.
Well,
them.
when I get
So-
my eye exam, I do it every year, right? Usually it's in February. Because when I asked them and nobody ever heard of it.
Right.
Maybe they will have heard of it by
By
then.
now.
And even if they had heard of it, it was my understanding those eye drops weren't yet distributed to all the states. Boy, I should invest some money in that company because if those eye drops work, as long as it's not a Steve Martin the jerk situation,
Cross your eyes.
boy, there's probably a good investment in
Whew,
that
yeah.
pharmaceutical company. We need that clear Coke again. I don't think Coke ever had a clear version. Pepsi clear, but not Coke. Not that I'm aware of. Duncany says, you see but did not observe Sherlock Holmes. Yes, and I should know better. If you had done that in front of me and I was your teacher, I would have made you aware of it. And said, hey, you need to pay attention.
And in a few markets, Pepsi tried something that didn't work out called Pepsi AM, where it had a little smidge more caffeine for people that didn't like coffee in the morning, that they wanted a little more caffeine, and they tested it in a few markets, and
Coke's got that now.
that went down like a lead balloon. Oh, it does?
Yeah, they've got coffee Coke.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gross. Planet Cryos with 99 cents. Hey, thank
There
you
he
very
is.
much, Planet
Okay.
Cryos. Don't edit this one, buddy. Let's leave this one as it is.
Very informative, yeah.
Rockin' Rob says, last minute shout out to Carrie, Mitch, Blue My Crew, and chat. Hopefully we'll catch the next broadcast as a whole. I hope so too.
Yeah.
Pepsi 2. John Paul Macon mentions Pepsi 2. I don't recall a Pepsi 2. But I don't drink Pepsi, so.
Once a year, maybe
Rob
twice a
Connors
year.
is
I
liking
gotta
the
have one.
t-shirt.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, once or twice a year I get a hankering for it, so it's a little sweet, but
Pepsi?
yeah,
No, what ends up for me is I go to a place like Grimaldi's.
right. That doesn't.
And I go, yeah, I want a large pizza, pepperoni, mushroom, and a Coke. Pepsi okay? No one ever says, is Coke okay?
Right, right.
Is Pepsi okay? No. But it'll do.
But it'll do.
It's not okay. There's nothing about that that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'll take it because when I went to this place yesterday, he said the Coke delivery people hadn't delivered the syrup to him. He's not a big enough
Okay.
place. So with the pandemic and the employee shortages, they're just not making the rounds like they used to. And he was going to have to go to Smart and Final and buy it over there if it was available. And I said, well, do you have Sprite? He said, I have Sprite.
Did you say the barbecue place has floats? Isn't that what I saw?
Root beer floats. Yeah. Yeah.
Root beer floats and a barbecue sandwich. There you go.
Yeah, is that what you're going to have?
No.
8 million calories?
Yeah. No.
All right, let's wrap it up. It's still
Yeah.
a little, we got 5 minutes to burn, but I think we'll wrap it up a little bit here. So, again, my thanks to everybody who's contributed, all my friends in blue for helping keep it civil in the chat room. Thanks for your help,
Yeah.
as always, and our camera operator. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and joining us today as we experience real life live on camera. I will see you all again very, very soon.
Until then, bye for now.
When he said.